It is Friday night in Phoenix, and you're listening to the Absolute Geek Podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm Alan. And this is my brother Edgar, and we're the Frog Brothers.
Hey,
Listen, Matt.
we're here to talk about horror.
Yeah,
comics.
we're not here to talk about shit, man. We're here to talk about shit, man. Listen, I know you're saying, hey, Frog Brothers, it's been a long time. Where you been? Hey, Frog Brothers, you're too old to be hunting vampires down. I'm here to tell you something. My brother and I are on here because October is right around the corner. And we need to get our shit together, people. You guys are out there and you're concerned about some virus. There's a greater virus we need to be concerned about, and that's called vampirism.
Read these vampire comics, man.
Exactly, man. So, Edgar, I want you to run down the list of things that they need to be worried about this October.
Only one thing: vampires.
Yeah, vampires. Also, werewolves. Now, we've been getting a lot of emails lately saying, oh, Frog Boys, oh, you're not politically correct. Oh, why are you the Frog Brothers? Why can't you be the Frog Sisters? So, in order to keep up with the times, we're going to go through some changes here. First of all, they're not called vampires anymore, brother. Can't call them vampires. It sounds too much like tramp-pires.
Yeah.
We got to come up with a better name.
Vamp people.
Vamp people.
Fangly
challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Werewolves. Can't call them werewolves anymore.
Werefolk.
Werefolk. Or
man.
where's the justice for indigenous beast?
No justice, man. No justice.
Witches. That's out.
It's too close to bitches, man.
Too close to bitches.
Can't do that.
Can't do it. We got to change it.
It's 2021, man.
Magically enhanced persons.
I'll go with that, man. I'll roll with that.
Yeah. So just a warning. This Halloween, this whole October, keep 6 feet apart. I get it. Yeah, sure. We got that. But also be on the lookout for the Fangly Challenge, the indigenous, where's the injustice for indigenous beasts, and where magical, what was the last one, brother?
Wear a garlic t-shirt, man.
Wear a garlic t-shirt. Wear a garlic t-shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
What's up?
Listen, I know we might have fooled you, but we're not the Frog Brothers.
You guys had me going. I didn't know what was going on.
It's me, Travis, and this is Jay, and we're the Bonsai Boys.
Yeah, I literally thought Corey Feldman was sitting right there, man. I was just waiting for his angels, and
someone tricked me.
We fooled you. We fooled you.
You guys got me.
That's a classic Halloween prank coming right at you. Nailed it, Jay.
You guys
Bonsai style.
Woo!
You guys nailed it hard and fast, I guess.
For a Friday night, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's fantastic for a Friday night.
Excellent.
I can see someone didn't like your impressions because we already got a thumbs down.
You know what? I don't care.
No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Well, thank you guys for filling in this week for Max and Pepperoni. Is they went on their hetero life mate honeymoon since they just got hitched.
Sexcapades.
Yeah.
Where'd they go?
Their hetero life honeymoon.
Oh. So
they went to some show.
Tulsa?
They went to a circle jerk in the desert.
Oh, circle jerk show. Nice. I'd go check it out.
Look, he even had a Stick Boy fooled. He's like, wait, that's Travis and Jay.
You nailed it. We nailed it. I'm sorry, we nailed it.
See?
Fooled.
I'm going to take that thumb down and I'm going to do something sexual with it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know what? Trick or treat, trick on you. But a treat for you as well with that amazing impression of the Frog Boys.
It's a treat. It's a treat for everyone involved.
I knew it.
How are you guys
also,
doing?
Jay, also, by the way, I like that headband.
You like it?
On you. Yeah, I think it works, man.
Yeah, you know what's scary? I walked downstairs with my wife and kids and they didn't say anything. Like, it's like they're just all, hey. And I'm like, really? Whatever. I'm not going to get
it. No imagination.
Don't pay attention to him. He's just going to jazzercise.
Just when we thought Dad couldn't get any more embarrassing.
I'm going to my goat yoga.
What if, here's a what if for you. What if our dad wasn't our dad? How great would life be?
Your dad's just super sweaty. You just gotta,
They know already.
you just gotta suck up the sweat. But
No, it's good. To answer your question, Matt, things going well. We're here. It's good. I haven't seen you in a long time, brother.
I know.
I haven't seen you since you've had all these major life changes. You've had parts of you removed. Like you're not the same. You are literally not the same Matt that I last saw.
Nope. There's pieces of me missing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Bad pieces, hopefully, right? They didn't take any good parts.
Yeah, you never know. You try to get them to take them all at once. But
Get a good
I know
malpractice
I've seen you in the shadowy underbelly as you're slumming with the guys over at Modern Comic Mayhem.
Yeah, man. I've been picking up my podcast pace. I feel like I've been doing the podcast circuit like nobody's business. I did a little Absolute Geek a couple of weeks ago. It was fun.
I know. I don't know why I was gone. I know. I saw you guys did good.
Yeah,
but
it's been good.
Yeah, we're already talking Halloween.
That's all. Yeah, I know. It's like decorations early.
So
close enough.
That's good. How's Comic Bonsai? Or your what is it?
Pop Bonsai.
That's right.
Pop Bonsai podcast. Also, because October's coming around, Jay and I got something cooking. We just dropped our first episode of our four ports. Stick it in there. Four ports. Let's
go ahead and dock it up in there. 4 ports.
4 ports. 4-part Stephen King series. Wow. So we're looking at things like we watched the 1979 version of Salem's Lot. We read the entire Skeleton Crew short story collection of his. We did his son's Basket Full of Heads. And of course, at the end of all Pop Bonsai podcasts, we will be coming up with our Stephen King playlist. Ooh. It's been great, man. I'm loving like diving in and just living in the world of King.
Yeah. I started reading Salem's Lot, the novel.
If it doesn't have anything to do with like hit and run or cars, you're not on the right track. The cars have to definitely be part of your playlist. That's
true. There's got to be a good car song. Like maybe My Little Deuce Coupe.
We can do that. We can work that.
I didn't even get to bring out all my props in my bit. I bought flyers. Just grabbing stuff to kill vampires with.
I was gonna stop at the grocery store and get a garlic, like one of those garlic necklaces.
Oh, and then you could make some salsa after.
Oh, delicious! Or some like pizza, some good pizza sauce.
I mean, living in Arizona, you don't have to worry about garlic T-shirts because you sweat so much; it always smells like garlic. So
yeah,
plus I eat a lot of pizza, and it all just kind of rises to the surface.
Yeah, you're a pizza kid.
Oh, I'm a pizza man.
Yeah, Matt, would you consider yourself a taco boy or a pizza kid?
I'm a pizza kid.
Yeah,
I'm a pizza kid. I like tacos, but I'm a pizza kid.
Yeah, I think I'm a taco boy.
Yeah.
How are you adjusting to your new surroundings there, Travis?
Good. A storm came in this weekend, so I was actually a little bit worried. Like there was this huge lightning strike earlier this morning during my morning coffee. Really jolted me up, and then the internet was super slow. So I was like, "Ugh, am I gonna be able to absolute geek it up?" But the island god smiled on me, so we were good. It's been great, man. I'm right here on the beach. Started up a school back to teaching high school from doing 6th graders for a couple of years. So it's nice to be back in the mix of kids who are past puberty. So you don't have to worry about, weird smells and, crying. Well, I guess you have to worry about both those things.
Yeah.
I just got to worry about the occasional student trying to hit on you to get a better grade.
Those days are long gone, my friend. Those went with the back of his hairline.
Nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I try to grow the stash out to repel them.
Is that what
we gotta wear masks, so it's useless. This beauty is covered up all day.
Yeah, that Ethiopian poisonous caterpillar is covered up all day, huh?
Exactly.
Not out there.
Just breathing that stink in. Oh, it smells like tacos all day long. It's like a fiesta.
I like Jay. You definitely up the Frog Brothers game by mixing in a little bit of Batman there too, with the deep gruff voice.
Oh yeah. Well, the Edgar kind of talked like that. Remember?
Yeah, they all kind of talked like they were like action star. I think that was the direction they gave him. They're like, just be Bruce Willis and like Die Hard.
I'm Batman.
Yeah,
Come out to the toast, have a few laughs. Come out to the toast, have a few laughs.
Stick Boy says, weird smells and crying. Are you really at Kyle's, Travis? Yes, he is.
Crying, not weeping.
Yeah. Kyle secretly keeps him locked in the garage.
Yeah.
That behind him is it's not a wall. It's just a green screen. It's a green screen in Kyle's garage.
There's got to be, Stephen King has got to have a podcaster horror story in him somewhere, right?
You would think so.
There's got to be a cool horror story to tell about podcasting.
I don't know. Maybe like a radio DJ. But
I mean, there's a lot of good horror podcasts or like weird horror podcasts out there, like Welcome to Night Vale. Several others that I'm drawing a blank on, but there's a lot of good horror podcasts out there.
Well, not getting this credit in society.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
You guys should start the Frog Brothers case files and just write skits every other week. And
well, our first attempt out, we got a thumbs down, man.
They don't get our art. That's the problem. You know?
Now we're denying it. Now we're going to deny it for you.
It happens to the best of us. That's good, man. I'm glad good things are going on with Good Pop Bonsai. I like the shirt.
Thank you.
Like the shameless plug. Do you have one of those shirts?
That's how I do it.
No, I don't. I'm going to get one though. I will get one.
I think we can do better. I think we can come up with a better shirt. Don't get this one, Jay. We'll go for a round two. We'll get a Frog Brothers a Bonsai Boy shirt.
There you go.
All right.
I
like what is it, Garbage Pail Kid? It looks like Garbage Pail Kid.
Yeah, it's just a Garbage Pail Kid.
Yeah.
It's got we're really in. We decided early on that we were going to go with like a surfing motif, even though none of us surf. We like the aesthetic of it, and then it became kind of like a 1950s Norman Rockwell mixed with surfing, mixed with whatever we want to put it in there.
Tiki, surfing
tiki. Yeah. Americana. Surfing tiki Americana. Ooh, I want to do my living room like that.
Yeah. Well, the interior of my car like that.
That does sound like the name you'd get like for a Yankee Candle. Ooh, surfing tiki interior smells delicious.
Yeah. And it kind of has a hint of low tide to it too.
God. Can I tell you a couple of things? So I've never lived on the beach before. I've been to the beach, but I've never been like on the beach. So there's a couple of things now that I was not aware of that I thought I didn't know was going to bother me, and they're going to bother me. So this is a beach PSA. One, I have no problem with kids on the beach. It's a public space. We got to share the beach. That's fine. Little kids, when they get on the beach, they're like little dachshunds. They just dig. They want to dig little moats. They want to dig little castles, which I'm cool with. But I also jog on that beach. So when you're done, your kids got to cover that shit up, because I'm running through like a minefield there, and you're looking at the sunset, and then boom, you hit the deck. You land on a seashell. All of a sudden, you're in a Stephen King short story. Knocked out, bleeding on the beach.
On a crab.
Got to eat my own foot.
So how many times has that happened to you?
That I fell?
Yeah.
Not once. But I would like to lift my head up when I jog to get the scenic views. But I'm so focused on dodging stuff. You know, I got one of those. I finally broke down and got one of those little toe shoes. They get the individual toes in.
Oh yeah,
it looks funky, but like it helps running. The other thing, the beach has become very lurid. Like it's a very picturesque sunset here. So I don't know if it's one couple or if it's like the mecca for couples to come out and make and grope each other in the water as the sun sets. So I'll go out to enjoy the beautiful sunset, only to be met with silhouettes of people just dry humping in the water.
You got to get in there.
Isn't that like
work your way
beach?
In there.
Yeah. But I can't tell if it's because it's always like backlit. So I can't tell if it's one couple who's just like, oh, it's 6:30, time to go make out on the beach. Or
you should
if
just
it's
work your way in there and be like, do you guys need a hand? Like,
swim up there?
Yeah, just swim in there. You go underwater and then you pop up in between them and you're like, oh man, I thought you guys looked like you had room for one more.
Oh yeah, exactly. Is this uncomfortable for you guys? Is this as uncomfortable as it is for me to watch you guys grope each other in my ocean every night?
You just
polluting my waters.
You just swim up under one and you go, you squeeze, you pinch the cheeks and you go, Marco, and see if they answer you back. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
just get in there, man.
Yeah. So I'm learning. I'm starting to get some pet peeves of the beach, but I'm gonna be a grumpy old beach man. Fill in that hole. Hey, keep it separated.
Grumpy beach bum.
Just go in there with a yardstick. Hey.
Yeah.
6 feet.
Yeah.
Don't you know we're in a pandemic?
Yeah. Float away
Be
from
that
me.
guy.
Float away from me.
Yep. Just be that guy.
And cover up your damn holes.
Yeah.
Stick Boy says, just pop up and say, don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
Right. Hey,
The view's better down below.
Or just come up underneath them and just, grab his balls and go, oh, these aren't clam shells.
Yeah, exactly.
Just swim away.
I feel like it's international waters. I feel like you can get away with
absolutely
groping.
It's the same rules if you walk in the house and you hear your girlfriend or someone going crazy and you walk in and you're like, do you need a hand? Yeah, it's same rules apply. You're part of that group now. Like it's now that twosome's become a threesome.
Does that always happen in movies where it's always the guy getting cuckolded, right? Like, so he'll walk into the house and then he hears like moaning from his room, like, and he always gets excited, like his wife is in there just pleasuring herself. Hasn't that person seen enough movies to know that the likelihood of them just pleasuring themselves probably is not the case? 90% there's another dude in there.
Old school. I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that movie.
Yeah, it's called Old School. When you come home and you hear the moaning and you think it's your wife or girlfriend and you walk in and a naked man jumps out of the bathroom waiting for the gangbang. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. If I ever hear that, I'm assuming the worst.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aaron says dress up like a sea monster and grab their foot and pull them under.
There we go.
Yeah, like classic Creature from the Black Lagoon style.
Oh, we don't call them Black Lagoon anymore. We call it Creature from the Native Lagoon.
That's okay. I'm so sorry. Stupid.
Come on, frog boy.
You should just swim up there and come out of the water all glistening with your Tom Selleck mustache and just be like, anybody want our mustache?
Yeah,
Rip it
your
off.
short shorts and your little OP short shorts.
We have talked on Pop Bonsai that I am working my way up to a Speedo. Literally working my way up, just getting shorter and shorter. I don't know if I can ever go completely Speedo, but I would love to be the kind of person who could.
You just got to have that confidence, man.
Both physically and confidence-wise.
I think you cool.
Pull it off.
If when I do, it will be the artwork for our podcast, Jay.
He's gonna go the Hasselhoff. You're gonna have him standing there on the beach.
Yeah, running on the beach.
Yeah,
like the beginning of the watch.
Speedo. A Speedo with just a fat, nasty Chewbacca coming out.
There we go. The silhouettes of people making out behind me in the ocean. It'd be nice.
Just a full-on Chewbacca out the sides, man. Just grizzly down there. Yep, just grizzly down there.
I call this Dorothy Parker.
He's gonna be like your weird uncle when he's got like one of his balls popping out, looking like he's got frog eye out the side.
I think I am the weird uncle now.
That's how you gotta do it, man.
Yeah.
Gotta keep them on their toes. And then one of your students will see them like, Mr. Rats, is that you?
I know, it's a small island. That's what I'm worried about too, is getting too eccentric with my beach wear and then running into a situation where I'm like, look away. I'm hideous, look away.
That's good. Looks like you guys are you guys got plans then. Yeah. I'm glad to see you got plans for your future, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Never a dull moment.
Yep. We got some comic book stuff to talk about tonight.
Oh, of course. We always got comic book stuff to talk about. Stick Boy says, hear moaning from the bedroom. Your wife probably hit her foot on the bed. There you go. That's totally true. She's not pleasuring herself at all.
You walk in, it's just the wife, and then your Roomba's running in there. You're like, Roomba. Roomba.
Things are getting out of hand. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad things are going good for you guys on Pop Bonsai, and you're kind of everywhere. Slumming it, like I said, slumming it with MCM. Waiting for Jay to make his appearance over there.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
It's too long. He can't sit that long.
Can't hack it.
Can't sit that long.
Can't hack it.
Can't hack that. It's too intense over there.
Dude, I mean, we used to do that every week on this show, and then like now I can't do it anymore. I'm like, All right, by hour 2, my butt's like, all right, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can only imagine Travis had to get up and go to the bathroom so many times when he was on. And,
I go to the bathroom. I go grab beer break,
Yeah.
vape break, everything.
gotta do it all.
I did my taxes last week in between.
Started writing my novel.
Yeah.
Did a little everything.
Yeah, you kind of have to multitask. That's like 3.5 hours of your day. You got to carve out.
Right. But all right, well, let's get into some goodness here. Let me share my screen here. Go ahead, and I'm interested on this first story here, getting some geek news. Talk about Netflix. Netflix acquired the rights to basically start their own Wonkaverse. I'm interested to see what you guys think on this. Do we need a Wonkaverse?
No. Is that why does that not look like Johnny Depp?
It looks like maybe it's because it's next to Matilda, but he looks like Amelie in this picture.
I don't know what he looks like, dude, but he does not look like Johnny Depp. Anyway, I can give fuck less.
Yeah, I know.
Let him.
I know they're making a Charlie and a Willy Wonka prequel, but I don't know if we need a whole universe of TV shows spinning out of Matilda and spinning out of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one Roald Dahl property. So they're doing this Netflix. They're doing like the whole universe, or is it primarily focused on Willy Wonka?
No, it's the whole Roald Dahl universe. Like they acquired all the rights to his books and his published works. So it's the whole universe. So you're gonna get Matilda stuff. You're gonna get more Willy Wonka stuff. It's gonna be a little bit of everything.
Is it kind of like a Roger Rabbit situation where it's like one series that incorporates all of these different things like fairy tales or like Tall Tales used to do, where it's like one running arc, but crimes within the fairy tale universe? Or is this just separate IEPs that are all Roald Dahl? They're going to have their own thing.
I think they're all going to be separate IEPs. Yeah,
from what the article was saying, it seemed like there's going to be multiple shows, like, But
well, the answer to that did not affect my view on this. If you were going to say, I wasn't like, oh well, then I would love that.
Well, so what do you think of this?
Well, I don't know. At first, I mean, I'm not particularly interested in watching it, but I'm like, is there a market for this? Roald Dahl is kind of an interesting, because his characters are so archetypal and they're kind of weird, like these little dark fairy tale things, right? So if you look at them, if we just take away the fact that they're a little bit more modern than our traditional fairy tales, and if we put the Roald Dahl characters in this general folktale sphere, then I guess it's fine. Like, how many stories have there been about Davy Crockett or Paul Bunyan or that type of stuff? Is as more and more time goes from Roald Dahl creating and passing away and giving away these rights, as we move into the future, aren't these characters just going to become part of the folklore zeitgeist of stuff? And so can't we just, I don't know. I guess they paid a lot of money for it. So
yeah. But have you ever read a book? Did you ever read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book?
Yes, I read that. And I read James and the Giant Peach and BFG. I think those are the only ones I read. So is Willy Wonka like sassy like Gene Wilder, or did Gene Wilder like? No, he's darker. I would say maybe the Johnny Depp role maybe was probably closer to the book as far as character type. Maybe not like his take on the performance was that you can debate that, but as far as the tone of the character,
I mean, he was much darker. He wasn't necessarily childlike like Johnny Depp portrays him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
All I know is like spinning out of this, I want a series where you meet like all these people, like you meet like Augustus Gloop after the events of the Chocolate Factory, where he becomes like a heroin addict and then he goes through recovery, or like all these like crazy stories that happened, after the event of the Chocolate Factory. You really signaled in there on Augustus Gloop. I like Mike TV. Mike TV was so traumatized afterward that he started doing porn or something, or just how crazy and dark their lives got after everything that happens to them in the chocolate.
Isn't
factory.
that like the guy who was in the Christmas Story? Didn't we interview the adult Mike TV at one point?
No, that was yeah, it's pretty much, I guess you could say. Yeah. You could definitely say that. The dude from A Christmas Story. Yep. That's true. I forgot about his name.
Scotty something.
Scotty Schwartz.
Scotty Schwartz, Mike TV.
So yeah, there you go. That's the Mike TV. He's got that role under lock, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess these characters aren't sacred enough that you couldn't do something like that, right? Is anyone, I guess, what's their target audience? If this is just Netflix's grab at an IP in which they can hit that, 6 to 12-year-old market, then fine. I'm not watching it anyways. But if this is a grab for the IP and then they're going to somehow wrap it in our little nostalgia biscuit and try to sell it to 30 to 40-year-olds, that's when it's just like, all right, well, no. If you're going to buy that stuff, make it for 6 to 12-year-olds.
Like you're going to see how Johnny Depp finds, Balloompas or, how
that is in the book. Yeah.
They each individually have their own issues or, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I guess you could make a Oompa Loompa cartoon show, like a Smurfs type thing.
Violet's so traumatized by her events of being juiced that she becomes anorexic and doesn't need any more. Like just all these troubling, and they're all in like
she opens a juice bar.
There you go. They all come back to the chocolate factory that has now been turned into like a therapy trauma center for kids who Willy Wonka has like dismembered or abused.
Huh. That would be like Willy Wonka brought to you by like Rob Zombie. I think it's
now that I could go, but you could package that for me. I would.
Charlie and Chocolate Factory run by Rob Zombie.
Oh man,
that might be fun.
Just have Willy Wonka just be all dreaded out with just a massive like handlebar mustache. Looks like he belongs in the Hell's Angels.
Did you guys ever read? I think they made a movie. Like, did Tim Burton do it? Like the claymation style, James and the Giant Peach.
Yes. Yeah. That was like way when we were kids.
Yeah. What do you think about that little Roald Dahl ditty?
I like James and the Giant Peach. I mean, I thought it was a little dark and a little twisted for being a kid, just what they did with the claymation stuff. But, I think this is going to introduce it to a new audience, a younger generation that maybe aren't getting those movies, or those movies didn't stand the test of time and don't hold up anymore. And I mean, I think I'm interested in it because I think there's more to explore with like Willy Wonka if you do it episodically than in an hour and a half movie. You could, I think there's more to explore with James and the Giant Peach episodically than in an hour and a half movie. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. But again, I just kind of feel like Netflix is just trying to grasp as much material as they can.
I'm for it if it's the target audience is kids, because I think Roald Dahl has this special way of creating these modern fairy tales that are whimsical, yet kind of have these like dark undertones. And it's a good stepping stone for kids, not just to get all the saccharine stories, but to get just a little pinch of like something's not right, or this character may be a little bit abusive. So how do you deal with that? Or how do you survive trauma? Or how do you survive grief? That in some ways we that other kind of saccharine, you said the word twice already, stories you don't get.
Well, I think Netflix shows that they can do it. I mean, they did the series Unfortunate Events show and series, so I think they can definitely pull it off. But
yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, of that. Yeah,
I just don't know if we need. Like I said, I know they're making a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory prequel, so I don't know if they need to do. And it's got some pretty big names attached. I think Keegan-Michael Key was attached to it in some role now, and so I just don't know how much more Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, those books we can because wasn't there 3 books in that series?
Dude, I don't
know. I only read one.
I think there's the prequel.
The glass elevator. I think.
Yeah, then there's a sequel to it also.
Yeah. So I think it's Charlie and the Glass Elevator or something like that. Something along those lines. And you got Witches, which they just remade, right? That's Roald Dahl, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. But you just see Charlie grow up and just become an abusive alcoholic and just beat the Oompa Loompas and stuff. Like you're gonna deal with some real shit.
Well, whatever. You and Pepperoni are gonna watch it regardless. So
yeah, leftover Ziggy said 3 books. So there you go. But moving on from that, Charlie Cox is afraid of hurting his chances at.
Whoa! I thought he was a man without fear.
Yeah, right. Well, apparently he's got fear when he's worried about being in Marvel because he wants to be in another Marvel movie so bad that he refuses to address any spoilers or any rumors by anything other than saying no comment.
Good.
Because
smart.
He's afraid that he's gonna
it's smart, but
alienate fans and alienate his chances at coming back to Marvel.
Yeah, I definitely fear that. Big old lawsuit gets smacked by Kevin Feige on you. But I don't know, man. Is this guy really that irreplaceable? I feel like maybe we haven't found the right Daredevil.
He's not. That's why he's doing everything he can.
That's true.
He's like, listen, I'm not the Robert Downey Jr. of this character. Like, I gotta make myself undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he's pretty good at Matt Murdock.
I like him. Me too.
I don't know about.
He's fine. He's fine, but it's not. I feel like there's probably someone else out there that either as good or probably better.
He doesn't need replacing, I don't think. But could he be replaced?
Yeah. And
the audience not, go run away from the theaters? Yeah.
Where's Pepperoni at to pitch Taron Egerton 1,000 times?
one of those supernatural guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton, one of those supernatural guys. Shia LaBeouf.
He reads something on comicbook.com and he just goes with it.
Yeah.
That damn Pepperoni.
Oh, me and him got in such a big argument today over the Super Mario casting.
See, you guys are kind of the same way in the fact that, like, if somebody disagrees with you guys have to make it known as to why your opinion is sound. Like, he's the same dude. Else we'll be sitting there and I'll be like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get it. But I don't agree. And so it's like the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it more when we get there, but I'll kind of fill in the blanks when we get there. But I'm all for Charlie Cox. In a time where people aren't doing anything because we're still kind of locked in our houses and not a lot going on. I guess it just depends on where you are in the world. Spoilers are getting out there. Like, I feel like we've talked about it before. Everything with Spider-Man No Way Home has been leaked, and you've already pretty much seen the movie without even being released yet. Like, every week something new comes out about it.
Yeah.
Whether he's in or not in this movie, I don't think he really needs to comment on it. I would love to see him back as Daredevil in some capacity because I think he did a fantastic job. I don't think it's going to be the same character. I think he's going to have to play it differently in a Marvel movie versus the Netflix show.
Yeah.
But
well, it's not like he's being an asshole, man. Like, when people are working on something they're excited about, they want to tell people. Yeah. Like, I have a hard time when I'm on I'll start a project and it won't even be done, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and I'm like, oh, I guess I got to finish it now. So it's you want to tell people, and it's just like, it sucks because even if he wasn't in it, he has to play it like, okay, you can't do that tongue-in-cheek thing. I don't know, we'll see. You have to be kind of like, yeah, I really can't talk about it. I mean, I can't tell you if I'm in it or I can't tell you if I'm not in it. I wish I could. I can't.
Well, especially when you're excited about a different project you're working on and you're being interviewed, and then the interviewer is like, all right, well, let me ask you about your role as Daredevil in this Marvel movie. And you're like, dude, I can't talk, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm here to pitch one thing and you want me to talk about another. So
it's like in the middle of your wedding vows, talk about your ex-girlfriend.
Right.
We want to hear about Brittany.
Yeah.
More Brittany.
Your love for her is great and all, but what about the ex?
Yeah. Did you hear that she's dating so-and-so?
Mm-hmm. Leftover Ziggy says, I want Kingpin, that guy in that show. Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was cool. I feel like maybe he's probably he's probably like a quintessential actor in that role. He's pretty good.
Yeah, it's almost like if you wanted, like, if D'Onofrio is so undeniably good in that role and you want to mix him in with the rest of the Marvel cast, you're like, I guess we got to take the other ones too. Because people are going to be like, why is this guy the same?
I think you could have D'Onofrio in there, like I said, on his own, but it's a matter of how you introduce him. Like, how you introduce that character matters. And I feel like the stage and the current environment of Marvel movies that we're in right now is too big for that character.
Got to take it down to like a street level kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it just depends on how truthful the whole Marvel's going to split into two. One group is going to be street level, and then you're going to have your cosmic stuff.
Oh, I'd be all about the
how
street.
that goes, but it just really depends on if you can make him kind of like a bigger threat than what's going on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in a world where you've got Venom and Carnage and now Kang the Conqueror and like everything that's going on with Thanos and all these other villains that are coming, you gotta kind of wonder where he fits because he's not as menacing as.
That's what I liked about those
guys.
Netflix shows is that it just felt like NYPD Blue on steroids, kind of. You know, it did feel very street level. I mean, that word. That's the quintessential word for when characters like Hellcat and Daredevil are brought up. Punisher,
the heroes for hire universe, like like you said, Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. But if they did this whole like a street, they'd have to like totally redo all. They'd have to recast all those people again, probably.
Well, I mean, we accept it in the comic universe, right? We tell those street level stories in the comics, and we're not like, well, why doesn't Thor just come in and just deal with the Kingpin? And you're like, you just have to accept it. Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think the street level, if we could somehow separate it where the street level one works and you get the street level heroes, Daredevil, Spider-Man, just grounded. But I think they made it big by sending Spider-Man to space in Infinity War and just kind of like all of that. Like they kind of precedence that in like Homecoming, where he's like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, stay in the neighborhood, stay low to the streets. And then they shoot him, jettison him into space in Infinity War and Endgame. And it's like, all right, well, is he really a street level hero now? So I don't know how they could bring that back down to the street level to make someone like the Kingpin make sense. Someone like Daredevil makes sense. Like, I think introducing him, honestly, if you don't introduce him,
Iron Man 3 tried it. Remember when Tony Stark literally broke the space barrier and then he fell back down, and then Iron Man 3 was him literally getting back to the street level. He's using his water balloons and things like that, where it was like the trauma of going beyond, transcending past your bounds has caused you to go more to your roots. And that was like one of like the lower selling Marvel movies. So they're like, we only go forward, no going back, people.
Right. So I'm excited for that, and we'll see what happens if he comes back. If they maybe they'll just give him his own movie to kick that all off. Who knows? But I think, like I said, I think introducing him in Spider-Man is a no-brainer, and you could have Kingpin be introduced as the after credits or however they're going to do it. But I think now with the world they're building, if you're going to introduce these characters, it has to make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a huge history of Spider-Man and Daredevil together in the comics. I mean, they work together really well. Miller did it, and it's been done. It can do it. It gels.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, they are giving Hawkeye his own series too. So I guess you could build up that world, but I think they're trying to focus more on Young Avengers with that whole aspect of it. But who knows? I wouldn't mind. It would be cool if, like, I know they're trying to get to a Sinister Six movie. If it was like the Kingpin is the guy in the shadows bankrolling everything, and it's like this huge surprise at the end that he's bankrolled all this or whatever. I don't know. I know that they're gonna have to bring him in strategically and bring him in right. And do I think Charlie Cox is gonna be back as Daredevil? Yes. Do I think it's gonna be anytime soon? I don't know. Leftover Z says, I want Kingpin. How does it feel to want is what I'm gonna say.
He sounds like Veruca from Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
I want Kingpin now.
Yeah. I want it now. Yeah, sing a whole song about it. All right, moving on. Let's talk about, did you guys watch this week's What If?
Yes.
Let's talk about this week's What If. And then in talking about this week's What If, Jay said to me last week, he said, you sat here and you said you don't like What If. And I still don't. Even after this week, I still don't like What If.
After this week, I don't blame you.
What if we talk about how we would do What If differently? What if we were writing What If? And I like that idea. So we'll talk about What If, and then we'll say what we would have changed if we were writing this series.
Did you really like it, Matt? Did
what?
You?
This week's What If? No.
My idea.
I did like your idea. Absolutely. But I thought this week's What If episode sucked.
The only cool part was when Thor kept pummeling Captain Marvel over and over. That was very satisfying to me. She's so smug, dude. She does that.
Like,
is that horrible to say? That's bad to say.
You cut out. Yeah. What did you say?
Oh, I said the only good part about that episode was Thor, pummeling Captain Marvel over and over.
Oh, you have the PC function turned on your PC. That's why I cut it out for you automatically when you start talking about domestic abuse. Turn it off right now, real quick. I turn off that.
He's talking about domestic abuse. Let's just go ahead and mute that. But like, to me, What If is this opportunity to take these characters on a grandiose scale and really change things up and really cause chaos and re-pique people's interest in these characters and show these characters in a different light and give them a different way. But like Party Boy Thor, how is Party Boy Thor?
But that is what you just said. That is exactly what you just said. It's taking those characters and showing them in a totally different way. And that's exactly what they did right here. Just because you don't like it.
Party Boy Thor. He's kind of Party Boy Thor already. Like, but other than having a massive party on different planets, and Howard the Duck getting married to Darcy.
That was fun. I like that part.
I like this episode. I think you're right. I think What If, Matt, can be those things. It has potential to be those things, and it would be great if there were a couple of episodes that really, 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 really went for it like that, right? Yeah. And it'd be hard to do in half an hour, but I mean, at least touch it. Maybe like the exposition of a story like that, and then you can imagine the rest of it. But What If is also, they've used What If in comics to be just satirical. They've used it to be slapsticky. They've used it to, introduce a new character. What was it? I think the first Spider-Girl was a What If character. Was like Mayday May or something like that? Mayday Parker, yeah. I think it can. I think a What If can be a lot of different, for lack of a better word, like genres of that. And I think when you hear the title What If, I think it's very easy to go to like these big spaces, right? Like where like what if this crazy thing happened, and where would that spin the entire universe off to? And it would be nice if they had maybe a couple of those touched on in here. But this one, like the Party Boy Thor, I mean, it was fun. It was nice hearing Natalie. I always love hearing Natalie Portman's sultry voice through the television. Yeah,
see, that's the way I always watch these. It's like, I think it's kind of cool because I feel like it's just fun to revisit some of those moments in like the MCU, and then just have fun with it. I don't really watch them to like, let's see where this, if they go in an intriguing place, are they going to go somewhere that's going to make me? But like this one, dude, you can't even look at it in any kind of. You can't really analyze it very much because it's just supposed to be like just fun, and that's all it was.
Mhm.
And that's the way I watched it. I'm like, I saw it and I'm like, okay, that's how it's gonna be.
And I really like the Doctor Strange one because there were a couple of moments in Cumberbatch's performance, the vocal performance in the animation, where I was like, oh, that's legitimately traumatic and sad and terrifying to relive that moment. And they did a good job with the editing of doing it on there. I'm like, oh, for a second there, I'm like, well, I'm in that moment. I feel that. Now, the rest of the episode didn't hit for me. I don't think I even finished the episode. But there was a moment like when he's constantly in that car and it's crashing and you're seeing that in there where it was like, all right, in a half-hour episode, if you could make me like, oh, man, that's horrible for 2 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'll give you half an hour for 2 minutes of genuine emotion. And this one was kind of like, I gave you half an hour, maybe for like 3 laughs, three chuckles.
Well, I think the Doctor Strange one is the most what if of the what if series because it changed a lot of things. Like he went down this opposite path in this very Groundhog Day-esque sequence, and it turned him, it corrupted him. He became the darker Doctor Strange instead of the lighter Stephen Strange that now. So I think that gave you more of a what if feel. But like I said last week, like what if Peggy Carter was became Captain America, Captain Carter? Other than make that change and making Steve Rogers the first Iron Man, not a lot was different to the story.
I like how Howard Stark had a lot more to do with it. I thought that was kind of cool.
I like
that
episode,
like this what if that there would just be so
I think
so much more to it.
I think that's the point of that first episode, and people shit on that one, but the Watcher does this whole thing where he gives you kind of the theme, right? Even this what if it didn't hit very well is like the people that are in your life shape who you become, either good or bad. So if those people aren't in your life or are in your life in a different way, it could drastically change who you become, which we see with Thor. And that's introduced at the beginning, and you don't really see that fleshed out a lot. But in the Captain America one, I think the idea behind it was that, hey, if Captain America was a woman, it wouldn't change things that much. The what if is like, oh, we did the what if, and you know what? What if didn't make much of a change. Therefore, gender politics doesn't matter, right? I think that was their point. I don't know if the first episode, I feel like maybe was the right place for that before people kind of got the concept of like a what if can be this, a what if can be this, and then show that. But then I think if they save that towards the end, it's less action packed than like a zombie one. People would just be like even more. So I think it was a lose on that one as far as where you place that in the series.
Well, I think the biggest thing to come out of this is like, I think like the villains are the most changed as far as this what if goes. Like you're seeing the Vision come in what looks like Ultron armor with all the Infinity Stones.
So that sounds kind of more like the what if you want. Like if it started off like that, if the episode started with that, that's what you want to see. What if Vision had all the Infinity Stones and it turned him evil?
Well, I mean, or just like, I think this would be a perfect way to bring in. I understand that maybe they can't because of rights issues, but like this would be the perfect way to introduce like a Spider-Gwen. Like, what if Gwen Stacy was Spider-Woman, and introduce Spider-Gwen into this? Or what if Gwen Stacy was Deadpool? Or they have all these other all these other properties that they could have, brought in and used in this instead of the same cast of characters pretty much retelling the same stories.
See, that would have been
I agree with that. I would say if they continue what if, one episode a season, like each episode serves a different purpose, right? To tell a heartwarming story, to have fun, to tell an alternate universe story. And one of them should be to speculate on a new character, test it out, a Gwenpool or something like that. And one episode, you get that property that has not been realized in animation or live action yet and try them out. And if it takes off, then hey, talk about where that could go. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't, I think that's a good idea, Matt. I think at least one episode dedicated to trying to introduce a new C-level character would be a good way to do that.
Or show you different things. Like Chip Zdarsky's writing a series right now. What if Peter Parker was Venom? That would be a great what if story. Like, what if he never gave up the Civ yet? What if he turned into Venom? What if he went evil? seeing things like that in a different light versus Party Boy Thor, or what if, you know, Steve Rogers is shot and Peggy Carter became Captain America, you know, or things like that. Like, I feel like they're playing it very safe with What If instead of taking bigger risks that they can't necessarily do in the movies, you know.
Yeah. Joe Fixit, man. I want to see Joe Fixit.
Little gray Hulk.
Yeah, that'd be fun. See, this episode right here would have been a good spot to introduce Joe Fixit. You know,
to have a Hulk story in general would be pretty cool because he works so well with animation. You could really have the Hulk it out. Make it like a noir, you know, Joe Fixit. Do the whole thing in black and white, black and white animation. Black and white animation. Have the over narration of it where Bruce, you know, there's a lot of things you do.
Well, and like you own all these properties now. You own all the X-Men, you own Deadpool, you own the Fantastic Four. Why not use this series to introduce these characters to get people who maybe aren't readers of the books, you know, into these characters? So when you release their movies, they're like, oh man, yeah, remember that episode of What If we watched? Let's go check this out. Like, how badass would it be to see the Thing and Hulk have their throwdown in What If, you know, or just things like that. Like,
introduce a major character in here though, like Thing. I mean,
they could though, and then it pushes in there. It gets your average, everyday non-comic book reader interested in these characters.
You think this would do it though? You think like this half-hour thing would be like, oh, I'm really interested in this Gwenpool, like someone who's never.
I think so. Like, look how big, like one issue of Spider-Gwen in Edge of Spider-Verse 2 exploded this character to where she's massively popular now. You know?
Yeah, maybe. So I do think it'd be cool to maybe not even like a major character that we're gonna see on film some other time. Like you said before, I think it'd be awesome to introduce like the weird little peripheral characters that we're all familiar with, you know, like you were saying, like Spider-Gwen and like Gwenpool and Joe Fixit, someone that's probably not even gonna ever make it onto film, you know. It'd be fun to see in this for sure.
Oh, well, he'll make it on film. He'll be on
this
film.
Would be like a perfect place to put like
oh yeah, everything will be on
film. You get to see a day in the life of a Hydra henchman, or you know, something
Hydra
like
Bob.
Yeah, like, or you know, just things like that. Like they could go off the wall and crazy and do different things with this than they are, you know. But I just haven't been. Like, I've spent more time waiting for these episodes to be over. Like, I literally only watch these episodes now to talk about it on a podcast.
Oh, that's bad, dude. That's
because
bad.
I can't, like, this is the first Marvel program where I'm just not enjoying it. Like, I'm ready for it to be over. And when we were first talking about What If and they gave you that first teaser, you're like, oh man, Marvel zombies. Well, that fell flat. Oh man, you know, it just hasn't paid off.
I didn't mind the zombie one too much.
I didn't watch that one or the one after it. I watched this one because I knew we were going to talk about it today. So I kind of stepped away from What If. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not against it. It's just I got to read Stephen King.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. If the day comes and Pop Bonsai, we're having to watch it just to do the podcast, it's fucking over, dude.
Hey man, when you run a weekly pop culture podcast, it's called sacrifice. You gotta do it. It's sacrifice for your art, sir.
I couldn't do it, man.
You gotta do it. It's sacrifice for your art.
You know what? Because I'd sit there grudgingly watching it like you, all pouty, having to watch it and wait until it's over, and then you just spew your hate on your podcast. See that? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like how I thought I was going to be watching Titans. I'm like, oh, damn pepperoni always moaning about Titans. Fine, I'll sit and watch it.
Spewing your hate like the blood after a vampire stabbed in the bathroom. Great scene.
They don't ever go down the same way twice, man.
But I don't know. I would just like. Well, I would like to see like what if.
Oh, here we go. Finish it. here's your pitch. Give us your what if pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm saying like I think it would be cooler. What if like Steve Rogers? What if the super soldier serum didn't work? What would his role be? What would he do? Would he go down this same path? You know, would he still try to save Bucky? Would he still, because he was always that kind of that Boy Scout?
I think that that particular one, I don't think that would work, because the answer is yes, he would, and that's why he was chosen to be Captain America.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said, I would like to see what if Peter Parker became Venom? What if he never got rid of the symbiote suit? Like I said, Spider-Gwen would be a good one too. Like,
yeah, Spider-Man's got a lot of cool what ifs that could be around Parker and stuff. Yeah.
Leftover Ziggy said, what if Hulk had bad gas?
Yeah.
There you go. Just farting radioactive waste.
That would have fit into this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
But I just think like they could have went darker places with it, you know?
Yeah, man.
Or different with the characters. Like I like the Doctor Strange one for what it was. I still think it's probably the best one. I still think the T'Challa one is, what if T'Challa with Star-Lord one's overrated, and the only reason people are praising it is because Chadwick Boseman is dead.
I like how Matt's like the Leonard Cohen of the What If universe. If you want it darker.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
No, it's fair. It's fair. It's fair enough. The problem with the title, like "What If," right, is it
what if
has
Ant-Man destroyed Thanos by crawling in his ass and expanding? Like,
yeah, there's no limits to it. What if ellipsis question mark? The ellipsis added in there means that like possibilities are infinite and endless. And it sounds like what you're saying is that the possibilities seem very narrow for the creators of this series, at least. What if it wasn't, what if Peggy got the powers? What if the Avengers never existed? So that ellipsis is actually very contained, they're doing in this series, as opposed to that infinite possibility of things.
Well, like, what if Howard the Duck had the Infinity Gauntlet?
That'd be cool.
You could, there's so many, like, you could use so many other characters in this than your core Avengers. Like, we saw the Avengers, like we saw Endgame. It was put to an end. Why are we still working with these characters? You've got all these new characters to go with.
Because those are the characters the 9-year-olds know.
Yeah, but I would like, what you could have something cool with Mantis going on, or you could use Mantis, or you could use Cork, or so many of these other characters that people know, then rather than reliving the Captain America story or the Iron Man story all over again, or the Killmonger stuff, or Party Boy Thor. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they will. Maybe
what if Tony Stark had to pay taxes? What if Ant-Man was an actual ant? There you go. But I just,
an ant or an aunt?
Ant. I don't know.
What if Ant-Man was Aunt May?
Oh man. What if Uncle Ben never died?
What if Uncle Ben was Ben Grimm?
What if Uncle Ben was Spider-Man? What if Uncle Ben burned his rice?
What, Jay, what would you like to see a what if of? Give me your what if.
Is this our pitch?
Yeah, go for it. Pitch it.
Did you guys write out a pitch?
I didn't write out a pitch, no.
I thought about a pitch this morning over coffee.
So I wrote out a pitch. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Let's hear it.
So, oh, dude, it's really long.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So I try to keep things in the time. Okay. So my pitch is, what if Howard Stark was an agent of Hydra? Okay. So imagine instead of being killed by Winter Soldier on that country road, Howard Stark and his wife were instead kidnapped by the Winter Soldier and recruited by Hydra. Knowing this situation was unstable, to say the least, Howard sent his son, Tony, to live with his friend and colleague, Anton Vanko, in Russia, whose son Ivan is like Tony's age, of course. Tony and Ivan became lifelong friends, eventually moved to the States to go to college. And, it was paid for by Hydra and by their dads, who never had the falling out. So they start the corporation, Stark Vanco, from the ground up, hire Red Room operative Natasha Romanoff as personal assistant and Winter Soldier to secretly head security detail for the corporation. Okay, and they end up hiring Obadiah Stone still. Okay, so and then I thought about maybe the actual events of Iron Man 1 do come into play, right? Like Obi kind of fucks him over in the demonstration in the Middle East, and he gets captured, blah blah. But so when Tony's finally rescued, him and Ivan developed the Iron Man and War Machine suits together, perfecting the arc reactor technology, who both their fathers worked on together. And like Ivan developed the Whiplash weapon in the Iron Man or in the War Machine armor, which I thought would be cool. So then, Whiplash and Iron Man seek revenge on Obadiah, and they fuck around in the streets. And same thing, the government tries to come in and take the suits away from him, but this time they send Captain America in for him, right? So when Captain America comes for the suits, Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow kill him. And Bucky, Winter Soldier, sees this, and because he's no longer really brainwashed, he's totally flabbergasted by this, right? Because he realizes his old friend Steve Rogers is still alive, Captain America's still around, and his friends and employers killed him. So I kind of was like, well, so at that point, Stark and Vanco would retreat back to the USSR, go underground for a while, and Winter Soldier would stay in the States, lay low, where he's recruited by Nick Fury as the first candidate to the Avengers Initiative. End of story.
Oh, I like it. It's kind of it gives me a Superman Red Sun kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Hey, brother, man, I got you.
There you go.
Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. What overarching idea are we exploring with that, as far as the humanity of the what if? What would the Watcher say in the beginning of that episode?
Well, the thing I was kind of exploring is, first of all, like, I'm a huge Mickey Rourke fan, and I thought he was so fucking underutilized in this. Mm-hmm. And like, wouldn't it be cool? Because you imagine like a young Mickey Rourke, like diner Mickey Rourke, hanging out with Tony Stark,
dick in a popcorn bowl, and then having Tony, Captain America, come and like try to eat some.
Yeah, no, they have Black Widow try to come and eat some of
it. I'm sorry, it's just like you turned me on so much. I don't know, I got a little crazy. It's all right. Let's go back and watch the movie.
Dude, those two characters would fit. I would love to see a movie of just that.
I don't think Absolute Geek is the right place to talk about the diner, Jay. Sorry, we gotta pull that back. We gotta save that.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, gosh, I wish they would have used Mickey Rourke better in this, and I wish Mickey Rourke wasn't such a freak. And so I don't know.
Mickey Rourke. You're asking Mickey Rourke not to be Mickey Rourke at that point.
Yeah, I know. But so I guess I didn't really include like any peripheral characters, but I just thought it'd be cool to maybe explore the whole Anton and Ivan Vanco thing, and how it would have gone if there wasn't that falling out and they weren't fucked over.
Well, I mean, the good thing about for your pitch, like not just like as a what if as the comic, but the what if in that series, it actually works out really well, because one of the worlds that Marvel Universe has fleshed out pretty well is the Hydra and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world. I mean, of all the areas that they've fleshed out so far, I mean, there's a lot of backstory to that when you think about it. There's a lot of characters associated with that universe. There's a lot of agencies. There's a lot of backlore to it. It would fit well in something like this season's run of What If.
Yeah. So what do you got? Thanks. What do you guys got? What do you have, Travis?
I got a refill. I'll let Matt go. Listen, my pitch requires a refill because it is not as good as that one.
No, I doubt it. I mean, I doubt it is better. Not that
I'm
it's.
turn off my camera so you don't see me trapping myself.
I don't know if I could top yours, man. Like that's evil Tony Stark is a good. Would be cool.
Yeah,
like that's what if done right. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Like I said, I mean, I just, it's like Whiplash is like it was kind of a cool character, and I'm like, man, the fact that he lasted like half a movie and then they like killed him, and it's like, But yeah, I think it'd be cool. Like I always think, because like I was telling Travis, like I really like Mickey Rourke. I like some of his older movies. I'm like, I can see his character hanging out with a young Tony Stark, like partying with a young Tony Stark. High society. Just do it. They'd be like two peas in a fucking pod. So I thought that would be a fun idea to explore.
Sure. I'm back.
Go ahead, Travis.
Oh, we pitch? Mine's a goof. I'm not going to caveat mine. I'm just gonna give it to you right now. So we all know that Doctor Strange is a sorcerer, the Sorcerer Supreme, if you will. But my what if Doctor Strange wasn't a sorcerer? What if Doctor Strange was a Scientologist? Now, one of the things I like a fun what if, and I also like the ability for what if, and they haven't used it as much in this one, but in the comics, every now and then you'd get one out of one of their runs, not in the 70s run, but the 80s run. You get a satire on something topical, like Reaganomics or something like that. So I thought it'd be fun to use what if to do a satire on Scientology. It's an easy thing to satirize, and when you satirize Scientology, you therefore satirize all kind of Scientologist Supreme. There you go. That's the byline on there. So I thought it'd be a fun way to explore that in a way that what do they call it? Is it an audit when you like ask questions? Does anyone know anything about Scientology? I should have looked up more stuff for the pitch. Does anyone know? It's called like an audit or something where you ask people like questions and then it's part of the recruitment process. So in my comic book version of this, it opens up with the Sorcerer Supreme doing one of those Scientology audits on Johnny Storm. Because I feel like Johnny Storm would be one of the most susceptible characters to Scientology in the Marvel Universe. For some reason, I don't know why. And what that does when we're going through this. I also had the idea of maybe using
I like that. The eye of L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, I was thinking L. Ron Hubbard could be like he manifests L. Ron Hubbard in the Vision's body. So we get L. Ron Hubbard as a character being brought forth in again through the Vision android. We gotta have an android version of L. Ron Hubbard somehow. And it's a way to explore the occult and cult life. You get the occult of Doctor Strange, you get the cult of Scientology. We put them in a nice little stew, we put it on simmer, and we let the characters have fun with it.
Huh. That's funny.
That's a lot to take in there, Travis. What if Doctor Strange was a doctor of Scientology?
I feel like Cumberbatch could play a Scientologist well.
Probably.
Or you can get Beck. Beck could play Doctor Strange.
Who?
Beck. I believe Beck is a Scientologist.
He is?
Mm-hmm. Let me Google that because I don't want to out him right now.
Tom Cruise.
Dear Google.
Tom Cruise play him.
Does anyone else type in Dear Google when they search something on Google? Dear Google.
Prudent.
That's like entering
Beck a Scientologist.
Thank you. Yeah, thank Google afterwards.
Sincerely.
Yeah, sincerely, Google.
Oh, Beck reveals I am not a Scientologist in new interview.
Oh.
But The only reason that that's a story is because at some point he was a known Scientologist.
Someone thought he was.
What if Doctor Strange were the gynecologist?
Oh, here we go. Beck is no longer a Scientologist. Beck says, I'm not a Scientologist after all, USA Today. Beck says, it's not easy being a Scientologist. Beck says a lot of things about Scientology. Too many things that he's now suspect. It's kind of like, listen, if I'm a frog brother and someone's saying stuff about vampires the way that Beck says stuff about Scientology, I'd have to put a stake through his heart just to make sure.
You can pretty much follow the rise and fall of Beck and Scientology, like with Google articles.
Exactly. Beck into hot new religion, 1998 headline.
Yeah, I'd looked at it more like from a comic book standpoint. Like, I like your guys' idea that's creative and outside the box, but I was like, what if you brought like the whole like Deadpool kills the Marvel universe into it? So like, instead of the Hank Pym trying to kill them all, you have Deadpool showing up out of, and you know, in the background of all these things, trying to kill these characters in an episode or something like that. So that way, like I said, you're introducing Deadpool to a new audience. You're introducing Deadpool into the MCU. You're using that character instead of having him sit on the shelf, having people wanting more of that character, but you're not giving it to them. Kind of things like that. I didn't get as creative as what if Doctor Strange was a doctor of Scientology, or what
or
if
proctologist, I guess he could have been.
There you go. He's a foot doctor.
I think it would be cool to have that.
Matt's like, I've had too much of doctors. Your pitch scares me, and I'm out.
I would really like to have Deadpool in that capacity, just because, like, I know my kids who are like little, Deadpool's a little too much, and I'm just like, you know, they're like, oh, you know, who's Deadpool? Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Can't really watch those movies yet.
Hey, aren't your kids like teenagers, Jay?
2 of them are.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the other ones they're too little. So it's like, eh.
Jay has a bunch of kids that.
How many kids do you have, Jay? I thought you had 2 kids.
4.
We're finding something out right now.
He's got a couple that haven't achieved greatness yet in his eyes, so he just doesn't talk about them. He just kind of keeps them locked away until they reach something that he can truly be proud of.
Yeah, that's true. They haven't blossomed in my eyes.
Do you use Halloween as a barometer every year where you show them, make them sit down and watch a more progressively scarier horror movie each year? You're like, ooh, you're 13 on this Halloween, we watched this one. Have you ranked the scares of yours? Like, have they seen The Lost Boys yet?
No, a couple of them have, a couple of them haven't. I do that, but not intentionally. Every year I'm like, can I push it a notch further? You know, you know, this Halloween, you know,
I scared stupid.
Yeah, I'm still not at like Hereditary level yet. You know,
Ernest scared stupid.
No, they're way past that.
May I make a suggestion, Jay? And I make this suggestion to all parents out there. There was a time in this world where your television was called a book. And people would actually gather around in the evening. They'd light some candles, maybe the fireplace. And they would take turns reading poetry, reading short stories, reading passages or chapters from books.
What
Halloween,
century do you think this is?
During the Halloween season, take a night, light some pumpkin candles. Bring the family in, open up a nice leather-bound volume of scary stories, and read them a scary story out loud.
It's a good idea. That's a good idea. But, you know, let me ask you this. Have you found any collection that's like, and I don't mean like Goosebumps type shit. I mean like anything that's any kind of like maybe Ray Bradbury or something on that
like
level.
You can read The Veldt from Ray Bradbury, or like, there's some Ray Bradbury stuff, or that, what was that one? The Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I think I read that one. I was like, we all read that when we were 7.
If you could find the first edition with the original art, where the original art was more terrifying than the stories were.
Yeah,
like,
what if
it was a child's book and there's like people getting dismembered and disemboweled in it, and
that's a good idea.
Here's the problem, guys. I'm a dad tradition without kids. I have so many good traditions that I can bring into a family. I just don't have the children to do it. Can I borrow your kids? Matt, you're popping one out here soon. Not you personally, but you know, I'll fly in every year. We'll read them a spooky story, and then we'll go out of there.
Yeah, you can fill in for Dad for a week anytime you want, Travis. That's fine.
Yeah.
I can go find something out to. You can be dad for a week and take on all that responsibility.
Now I feel like Kevin's chasing Amy, and that's when Black Beauty decided to do some of his own dicking.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Jason Lee.
You should start a business. Like they have Uber and they have Lyft and they have Turo. Rent a dad.
Yeah.
Where you just come in and give fatherly advice to someone whose dad maybe left and never came back. And
Uncle Trav's crazy mustache stories.
Yeah, like rent a dad, dude. Rent a dad. You come in, you give life advice, or you come in and you give punishments. Like you come in and you just be a fill-in dad for a little bit.
You might have the spec script for a new rock movie, my friend.
I mean, you've already got the mustache for it.
I think you have a story there. If this was 2002, Eddie Murphy would star in this movie.
Rent a dad. I mean, I think it's $1 million idea, dude. Rent a dad.
Yeah. Start with Guam, see how that works, and then branch out.
It's a small island. If it goes sour, it goes sour real fast.
Yeah, they'll chase you into the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. No, people are making out in there. I don't want to go. It's creepy.
And you can have a theme song that plays too. Like you can hit play and it's like doon 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 doon, and you walk through the door and you're like, "Come here, little Billy, sit down. I heard you got in trouble at school today."
Hey, Billy.
I didn't say to get all creepy rapey.
Come in on Uncle Travis' lap here. Yeah. I gotta tell you a story about a man who cuts his own foot off. Do you have epilepsy?
Yeah. It's not cool to do what you did to Susie today in school, young man.
I hurt myself.
Just rent a dad. You know, you come in and you get to give like fatherly advice, or like if the kid's underprivileged and his dad's dead or took off, you can come to they can pay you to come to the basketball game and cheer him on like you're their
I can teach him how to use a semicolon properly, how to use a comma and a coordinating conjunction like for and nor but for yet so to connect two complete independent clauses together. Boom. That's free. I'll throw that in for free.
That's timeless. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of advice that just spans a test of time right there.
And then
comma and is great.
When they win a Nobel Prize, they can be like, or some kind of award or their Oscar speech, and be like, my dad took off, but thank heavens that my rented dad Travis Ratz was there, and
and I'll be in the audience like, I'm so proud, I love you, Billy.
Yeah, like that episode of Fresh Prince where he's gonna thank his dad, and when Jazz wants him to, I think it's Jazz, or one of his friends wants him to have a kid, be like the surrogate for him.
Yeah,
and he's like gonna
Uncle Phil
some NBA award, and Will Smith stands up, and Jazz like pushes him out of the way and stuff, things like that. Dude, rent a dad, perfect idea.
You're the uncle that filled that void in my life.
There you go. Yeah,
Uncle filled.
Rent a dad, and fuck Big Brother. It's all about rent a dad.
Yeah. Rent a dad. And hey, if they're alone,
Travis taught us punctuation.
Hey, and you know what? If there's any lonely moms out there who want to rent a dad, I'm down for that too. Ooh, there's an extra price for that, but too far. Jay's like, no. It's too far.
Dude.
I think he said too far.
No. It's 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
Yeah.
I like this, guys. This is why I come on here, because we're generating ideas. We're not just. It's a safe space.
Nerds, just to be clear, Matt, we're not renting a dad. Rent a dad. I'm telling you.
Don't be so hasty.
Travis might be able to give our daughter the life advice
you've
that
only
I never
seen
could.
me on one podcast. Give me like 5 podcasts. Do you want your child to be able to write extremely well punctuated prose? I would think so.
Rent a dad. Mm-hmm. It's the fatherly advice that you may need, but not necessarily want.
Right. You didn't know you wanted.
Yep.
You're gonna get it.
There you go.
All right. What if? That's a good one.
He grows the mustache, and the mustache says it all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Once you start charging, you have to get tested once a month in Vegas. There you go.
Oh yeah, we have to work the business side out, because I'm gonna have to how do I insure this? How do I keep myself liable if the kid chokes on something like one of the hard candies that I bring them? Am I liable for that? Is there protection for that? It's a whole. Do I go Limited LLC. What am I doing here? That's for a different podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, they already have Big Brothers, man. You can just walk in.
I think they're nonprofit, and I'm all profit.
Rent a dad though, man. You come in, you give that life advice, you leave. If they pay extra, you come in, give that life advice, lather up the mom, and then you still leave. Like, it's the best of both worlds. You don't have to be tied down. You get to have a ton of kids, and you get all the free mom ass you want. Like, it's a win-win for everyone.
Like
the underprivileged
not task
kid,
rabbit, it's like ass rabbit.
Yeah, the fatherless kid gets some advice. The single mother gets some issues filled in. He's an equal opportunity employer. Like, he's an equal opportunity lover. There you go.
Oh, but Jay, our podcast after this is going to get real sloppy.
I know.
Podcast.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I know you have some other things on your list, but I want to pop in. I watched Y the Last Man. Huge Y the Last Man comic fan. I am up to date with the first 4 episodes. How are you liking? I know you guys talked about it a little bit last week, right?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Oh, was I on there last week? No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were. You were here for a little bit.
You left to come talk to me, and I listened to their audio version of their podcast.
That's weird. I remember that. Okay, sorry.
Oh, you pulled it up. Look at it. He's got the graphic ready. Nice.
Cause a bunch of excess trauma for the kids by having more parents figure leaving. Good.
Well, here's the thing. I never leave. I'm always in their lives.
I'm not enjoying this series that much, honestly. It's not piquing my interest.
Have you? I mean, is it just kind of a general sense of it, or is it just like you feel like you've seen it all before now at this point? Like the same kind of.
Tropes. Pretty much. Like, I feel like it's very much like it gives you that Walking Dead feel, and like maybe this came out at the height of like zombie apocalypse stuff, that it'd be different, but it kind of feels like, you've seen this stuff before. It's not really original. Like, if once they get into more of the comic stuff, I think like the relationships that he has, the illegitimate child he has, all of that, when you get deeper into the comic, I just think right now, like the first 3 episodes have been very boring and have dragged quite a bit. Oops.
Jay, have you watched it?
I haven't. I haven't seen it. In fact, I didn't even know it was out yet.
What about this show is piquing your interest though, Travis?
So for me, I understand those completely. Those are I am suffering from post-apocalyptic fatigue as well. It's very hard to even find stuff to talk about. We're on Comic Exposure. We're having trouble finding books that are not post-apocalyptic. And I think I've said everything I can say on post-apocalyptic. But I love Y the Last Man. When it came out in the early 2000s, it did feel fresh back then. And the story is not only one of my favorite comic books, but it's one of my favorite stories told out on there. And it's changed depending on when I read it. Like, I did a reread a couple of years ago. And when I'm not like 21, York was awesome. And now York is kind of like a little bit more annoying, but he's kind of like when you watch like an old Kevin Smith movie. Like when you're like 12, like Brody is like the man, the person you want to be. But then as you're older, you're like, he's a funny character, but like, man, that would kind of get annoying, It's kind of like the same way for York, the main character. But for me personally, I love the story so much. It's fun to see what they're doing with it, even though I don't agree with all their choices. And it's nice watching a story that really well. It's a fun experiment to see how they take it and translate it and why they make the choices that they do. And what choices they make better. Like there's a choice in the first episode where Hero, one of the female protagonists, actually kills her lover before the apocalypse hits, which was a great choice that makes so much more sense than the book, because in the book she suffers this guilt, which leads to events in the book. But you feel like that guilt is kind of unwarranted as much, and the bitterness is unwarranted. Here, they set that up where she commits this horrible crime that obviously is going to propel to guilt. But then they make poorer choices, like Yorick breaking up with his girlfriend in person before this whole apocalypse begins, that was a really poor choice, because one of the best parts of the book is that York is able to keep his energy and joy because he's on this quest for a princess. So you have all these women in this world trying to reconstruct society. Everything is very serious. And then you have like Super Mario over here, who's just trying to rescue a princess that he thinks is in love with him. And in the first episode, they break up. And so he's whining and pining. And I think that was a big mistake in that choice. But I also think the hero choice is really good. So I'm really enjoying it for how different storytellers will take a story and try to adapt it, what they do good and what they do poor. I think their Agent 355, that actress seems to be crushing it at that role. That's a very tough role to play. And I think that she's killing it so far. I'm interested to see how that relationship develops. I agree with all the things that you said. It does feel a little bit slow. And if you don't know what's coming, if you never read Y the Last Man and you don't know where the possibility this could go, you might tune out because you're like, this is too slow. But if it goes where it could go, I'm kind of hanging in there just to see it. So it's kind of more a personal enjoyment. So I don't recommend it to people. I'm like, you got to watch Y the Last Man. I would say you've got to go and read Y the Last Man. And right now, last year they came out with an omnibus. It was like $100 last year. I think it might even be less than that. The whole story, hard copy, giant thick book on Amazon. It used to be $100. Go get that. That's what I recommend. Go read Y the Last Man.
Like, I'm worried that it's gonna suffer big time and lose people when you get into like all the cloning stuff and all the stuff down
Dr.
the
Man
line.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna really lose the core audience at that point.
I like the road trip romance. I like the road trip romance of it, and you don't feel that yet, and you might not feel it at all, unfortunately.
So hold on. It says, wait. I have to call you out, Travis. What they did good and what they did poor. Weren't you just bragging about your English skills?
English skills deteriorate the more we get into a podcast and the more whiskeys I have. Plus, I'm getting my frog boy on.
There you go. Leftover Ziggy said, to me, it's annoying. Oh, boo-hoo. She dumped me. I wanted her still, boo-hoo. Yeah, I just think I'm like you said, I'm very much post-apocalyptic fatigue. Because I feel like you're getting that everywhere. That's just the genre that's being milked and very much milked and very much overutilized right now. Because I think it's an easy genre to get into and an easy market to go after. But the comic is fantastic. I don't disagree with you at all. But like I said, I just feel like for FX, for the like kind of the deeper waters the book gets into when when he has his love child, and spoiler, he has a love child, and you get into all the cloning stuff, and it just kind of like snowballs and it gets into some deeper territory that I don't know is going to hold the interest.
I'm going to watch the first season. Matt, if you jump out, I'll tell you at the end whether I'm like, oh, you missed out, jump back in, or if you're like, good choice. If it continues on your road that you were thinking.
I'm trying. Like, I watched the new episode. I actually watched it before the podcast started, and like, I was like, this is just, there's not a whole lot to unpack here. Like, the agent's just killing everybody and going crazy, and he's trying to stop her, and it's just like there's not a whole lot. Like, it felt very much like I was watching an episode of Walking Dead. There's not a lot different there other than zombies. It's the last man on Earth, pretty much. The last him and his monkey are the last two male figures or beings with a Y chromosome. So it's just, I don't know. I hope it gets better. I hope it picks up the more you get into it. But right now, the first 4 episodes, I'm just kind of like, meh. If I remember to watch it, I'll watch it. Or I found myself doing other things while it was on in the background. So,
yeah, fair enough.
It was not a big thing for me here. Let's go ahead real quick and talk Disney Plus stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Getting Disney Plus Day coming November 12th. We're going to get a bunch of new information and exclusive looks at Marvel properties and MCU titles coming up, such as Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Moon Knight, all which have completed filming except for Moon Knight. It should be ending near filming. But we got word today that Miss Marvel isn't coming until 2022 now. So the next big Marvel property, as far as Disney Plus goes, we're going to get is going to be Hawkeye. Is there anything coming up? Do you guys like the continuation of these Marvel shows on Disney Plus? Do you think Disney Plus is being well utilized for this kind of material, or are you guys kind of over it and don't really care about what they're going to announce? I'm sure you were probably going to get the announcement of Falcon and Winter Soldier 2, or second season of that.
Oh man, I like them all. I think they do a good job. I've liked all the series, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of like a superhero apologist, so anything they throw out there, man, I'm going to watch. And I think they have used it pretty well, in the episodic territory, and being the serialized shows. I think they're cool. And I'm not, like particularly excited about Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. If they introduce like champions with it, would be pretty cool. But I don't know about a standalone Miss Marvel show. I mean, I'll watch it anyway, but it's not like I'm frothing at the mouth.
Like Young Avengers, or
yeah, something like that would be awesome.
Yeah, what do you think, Travis?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jay. I go back and forth a little bit, but ultimately, I would be betraying my 13-year-old self if I was ever to flip a nose. There's too many comic book properties. It's out there, right? And I can choose whether to watch it or not. And that's kind of where I'm at. I watched that stuff. I enjoyed Falcon Winter Soldier. I enjoyed WandaVision. I enjoyed Loki. I don't feel obligated to watch it. Like, I don't think I'm going to watch the Ms. Marvel. That doesn't interest me unless it comes out and people are really celebrating it, and then I'll go watch it. Hawkeye, I love that Fraction run. I'm not a big Jeremy Renner fan, so that's something that I would probably start. I'd watch the first episode, maybe second episode, but if it didn't hook me, then I don't feel like I'm missing out on something, nor do I feel like they betrayed me or that I'm like, you should have done this better. It's just, we live in this world where we have a Hawkeye series coming out, and that's cool. So that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, yeah, if we can make those things and people are watching them and as my whole thing is, as long as people are exploring other stuff as well, because I don't want other stuff to die on the vine because of these series taking all the viewership. And I don't think that's a thing, but it's where the money goes, right? And so if these are the most successful things, we see more of them, which is always great to see more. But I wonder what we're missing because the money flow is all into these properties. So I love seeing the new releases. I always give them a chance. But at the same time, I do hope that they are not taking, the opportunity away from other stories to be told as well. So for every Marvel series you watch a non-Marvel series. Balance it out, people.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Get on, people.
Yeah, hey, why not?
So we got a big thing come out this week is that Polygon is doing a oral history of the New 52, detailing the work that went into DC Comics relaunch. One of the biggest and I think best things to come out of the New 52, and I'm super stoked that you and Travis are here to talk about this as fellow comic book readers, was the Batman Court of Owls. Court of Owls was one of the freshest things we got in Batman. And through all this came out a story that Scott Snyder almost left the Batman title as he was putting the finishing touches on the Court of Owls, because DC wanted Batman to be the detective that he is and close out the investigation, to figure everything out. They wanted it to have a definitive end. To the one point where Snyder said it was already at the printer, and he recalled the time where he was shopping in Target, walking down the aisles with a cart full of paper towels, screaming, tear up my contract, because he didn't want that detective definitive end. And could you imagine how that would have changed the landscape of Batman if Scott Snyder left this series after Court of Owls?
It's, it's so hard. It's like, I get it from like, an editor's standpoint where, you've got, that your corporate bosses you have to answer to. And then it's like, well, how much trust do you put in the talent like this? Someone like Capullo and Snyder, like how
who weren't Capullo
and
Snyder at that point? They were just starting off on that.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Sorry, Jake. I mean, they didn't it's the Capullo Snyder combo. I mean, they had just started off when they got to that point in the editor's room. Yeah.
Right. And so like, how much trust do you put in these guys? How much trust do you put in your writers, and how much freedom do you give them? It's like, man, in this case, it totally paid off, but gosh, that's such a hard balance to keep. But man, I can't even imagine. Fucking Court of Owls as a grown ass adult, like, gave me nightmares. That's how good it fucking was to me. I can't even imagine it being any different or being, sterilized somehow. And
I just like imagine. Like, it's this underground group, and I think it's a fantastic story that it's this underground group that is so entwined in the history of Gotham, and so entwined in the lore and the myth, that even the world's greatest detective and Batman can't figure him out.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was so different. It was like, gosh, finally like a fresh story, fresh villains, fresh. Yeah.
I'm going to disagree, boys. I was not a fan of the Court of Owls.
What?
I know. Listen, I know it's a lauded story, and that's great. It didn't do it for me. I thought that it created this, like you said, this whole underworld, this root system overnight was developed by Snyder, and now everything seems to be attached to that root system. Almost so much so that if you haven't read that storyline, you're trying to get into Batman. If you're like a new reader into Batman, and you're getting into a current Batman story, and they start getting into Court of like Owl stuff, you're like, what is this? It's a real turnoff as far as it tried to do in like a 1 year run. What was that about? A little less than a year, that kind of storyline. In a year, what multiple people would do in a slow dissolving of Batman. And I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't bad, but I wasn't personally a big fan of it. I liked what he did after the run he did. I like Capullo and Snyder on Batman a lot. I like what they did after that was a Batman's, not No Man's Land, but when the Riddler took over as the main villain.
0 Year?
0 Year. Yeah. Yeah. I liked 0 Year better than that. That's why I really started to get into Snyder and Capullo on that run.
See, I think, I mean, to me, that run, that entire 52 issue run is some of the best Batman stuff. Like, Snyder wrote 2 fantastic Joker stories. He gave you, 0 Year, that great Riddler story. He kind of redefined the Riddler and reestablished the Riddler as a menacing threat, not just as a joke.
Mm-hmm. I think you guys are in the majority there with the Court of Owls storyline. I think that it is a heralded story, and it seems well. The story is well crafted. It's good storytelling on Snyder's part, fantastic art on Capullo's part. It's just the story they're telling didn't really engage me in the way that it did others. So that's fine on there. What I'm interested about this story, because I love Snyder. In fact, I was about to sign up. I saw on Instagram, a buddy sent this to me, where he's doing a writing workshop, where he's getting people to come in and doing that writing workshop.
Substack, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
$7.
Is it? It's probably already started. You probably had ready to sign up to it, but I'll look into it. I'd love to jump in and see what they're talking about on there. What his advice? I think he's a fantastic storyteller. I love American Vampire, especially those early part of that series.
Oh, dude, I almost wanted to ask you if you wanted to read that this year.
Yeah.
Stephen King does the
first couple of co-writes the first couple of issues, correct?
Yeah, he does like the
prologue.
prologues. Yeah, something like.
It's that Sweet Tooth or Sugar Tooth or whatever that old vampire's name is. It feels very much like a Stephen King vampire. Anyways, for a later podcast, what I'm interested about this story is, why do you think Snyder is saying this? I don't think it's what does he hope to? What's the purpose of spilling this tea?
I think it's to allow, to put it out there that you should allow your writers to tell the story they want to tell, and that it's a definitive thing, because the fact that he got to write the story he wanted, that the Court of Owls, you don't know who they are. They could be anybody because they're covered by that mask. They're old Gotham. They're old money, and they got the better of the world's greatest detective, because you still don't know if Lincoln March is the child of Thomas Wayne and Batman's brother. It's spun out into video games and other movies and other TV shows, and it's kind of content that's still giving. And I think that's kind of what he's saying, is that you're seeing this big shift with a lot of these creators, especially writers, going to Substack, where they can write their own properties, where they get their own royalties. They can kind of do their own thing with the properties that they're making. And I think he's saying that because it's that big shift in comics where the editors could ruin a story. I think he's kind of saying, hey, look, we might have a great story in mind, but once it gets to this editor phase, they want to change it, and therefore it trashes the story. So I think maybe he wants you to look a little bit more at, like, look, don't blame the writer necessarily, because there's other moving pieces that go into these stories that could affect the outcome of them.
No, yeah, I get that. And I think I completely agree with you on that. And I think you're right I'm hoping that you're right. I hope it was this kind of altruistic take on, like, hey, here's a call to all writers. Like, that's the thing, is create your own characters, be your own boss. Don't take that. But he is writing for Batman, which is a corporation, and they have the ultimate say over some of those choices. Now, he fought that battle, which was a good lesson. Fight the battles. Some of them you'll win, some of them you'll lose, but you'll lose all of them you don't fight, right? You're going to lose all the battles you don't fight. However, it is Batman, more so than even American Vampire, that got Snyder his name, which now allows him to be in a place where he can make a living writing off his own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of like working in your 20s as opposed to working in your late 30s or 40s. When you enter the workforce, you've got to navigate the world of shit. You've got to, like, I mean, there are people who don't. There are people who, like, have the natural talent, and they can just, right from the get-go, they can take off and launch their careers in their life in whatever discipline they're in. But then they're part of that process of adulthood and professionalism is that you usually have to work for a corporation or a company first, see what you like, see what you don't like. And if you get talented enough and successful enough, then you can start your own thing there. So I like what Scott Snyder is saying, but we have to take this into consideration, that Scott Snyder went through the system, and the system helped him establish the name. So he's in a place where he can financially say these things and creatively say these things without damaging people who want to hire him, without damaging his sales and things like that. So yeah, rage against the machine, but, like, pick your battles.
Well, I think and I think it's very much even saying, like, even if you're writing someone else's property, if you have a vision, don't be afraid to fight for that vision.
Yes, fight for the vision. Because he stormed down. Like, I read the article that you sent a link to, and it was cool. He talked about, like, storming down there and being like, "Where's my contract? Go and rip it up." Taking those moments, but know why you're fighting that battle. Don't just think you can come into a corporation, take one of their title characters, and do what you want with it. Now, he had a choice in there, a run, and it was a small choice, and he fought for a specific choice. But at the same time, I would hate to see people, if you ever had a chance to write for a major iconic character, to throw it away because you know, like you're just fighting every battle. They're not going to put up with that. I don't want young writers, if they ever get that opportunity, to get too into their heads where they are just like, no, it's my way or the highway. To use that, the corporate character as a way to slip your identity in there as much as you can, to give it yourself enough of a voice that when you're done with it, people want to hire you on there as well. So I like Scott Snyder. This story was interesting just from that standpoint of, I was like, I wonder why he spilled this tea now, and what were his intentions behind it. And when you only get like little quotes in the article from him, it's harder to identify what his real goal was. But he seems like a really stand-up guy. He's an expert storyteller. He's a craftsman. He reminds me a lot of King, honestly, as far as how he's very blue collar in his storytelling. So I like the guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hiring for him for a reason, so let him, you know, to tell a story because you liked his story. So let him tell that story. When you don't change his story and essentially pigeonhole him, because you don't know if he wanted to do other things with the Court of Owls, that changing that would have pigeonholed him and ruined that, or what. Like, they're still telling stories with these characters nowadays where they're not having to really go retcon anything because it's still kind of that open-ended of it. So I just think it's a good message that, you know, if you're hired to do a job and you're passionate about it, fight for it, or at least, you know, be willing to fight for it, even if it means having to walk away because your vision isn't being portrayed the way you want to portray.
Listen, Marvel, I'm telling you, you're gonna want Strange to be a Scientologist. All right, I will rip this contract up. Like, I'm ripping it. You're like, it's a halfway ripped. No one's gonna say anything. All right, I guess I'm fired.
Do it, Marvel. Do it.
You know, but I do get what you're saying about you know, like you were saying, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, they kind of made a name for themselves doing this. It's like, okay, so you have to kind of, you know, you kind of get a muzzle put on at some points while you're doing your big book. Yeah, that's fine, because like you said, you make your name doing this, and then then you're in a position where you can go and do your creator owned stuff, and you can, you know, have 100% of your vision out there. But, you know, I guess my point is, how far would I take this? Honestly, I don't know, man. That's a good question. It's like, how far are you supposed to take it? It's like, do you really want to? It's like, if they would have ripped up his contract, who knows where he would be right now? You know.
Well, I like what Matt was saying too, when he was talking about. He mentioned that it was kind of to tell writers that, hey, you know, or to tell fans, hey, those choices that you might like or dislike, it's not always the writer's fault. Now, if that was the purpose for it, that makes sense. It's like, hey, I'm just reminding you guys that these are corporate characters, and corporations have a decision on the storyline. And we as writers, our names on the comic, but not all of those choices are ours. And I think that is a good message to get, especially to young readers who don't understand how that system works. I think that's a fantastic message. And if that was the purpose of it, that's great. But I also kind of worry about this bohemian artistic vibe of like, no, man, never subjugate your image for your art. And I'm like, okay, great, but go create your own art. You're creating with Batman, and Batman is an IP, and that's different than that. So but it also, you know, it can possibly make or break your career on there. So it was a much more interesting article clicking into it and reading than I thought it would be on the initial click. And it made me think about things that I didn't think that the article was going to make me think about.
I agree. 100%. All right, moving on. Let's talk Titans. I know Jay's not caught up on Titans. Are you caught up on Titans, Travis?
I haven't watched Titans since the second episode of the first season. So you take it away. Seriously? Take it away, Matt.
I'm getting there, man.
Take it away, Matt.
I don't want to ruin it, but
no, you're fine. You can ruin this because I don't know if I'll ever watch Titans. The only reason I might watch it is because I've listened to what our podcast community is all about Titans, and I'm like, maybe I just gotta watch Titans. Maybe I just have to. Jay, are you feeling the same way? Like we're like everyone, our little podcast here is talking about Titans. We're like, I guess gotta watch Titans.
Well, I got it. I got HBO Max a couple weeks ago, and I started watching this. Yeah, so I blew through the first episode or the first season. I'm in the second episode of the second season. It's not bad. It's pretty cool. It's cool. I don't know if I totally recommend it, but
no, tell me
it's not bad.
Tell me what you say. What you told me or what you asked me.
Sometimes
tell me more. Tell me more. Is the Joker in it? Tell me more. Tell me more. Is the Bat Cow fit?
So sometimes it seems like they're trying to make it a little more edgy than its CW counterparts, and mostly just by it seems like they shoehorn the word fuck in it a lot. Character be like, I'm gonna go to Starbucks and get a coffee and biscotti. No, you're gonna go to Starbucks and get a coffee and a fucking biscotti.
Oh, I'm sorry, the PC filter on your computer cut that out. What did you say? What kind of biscotti was it, Jay? Can you say it again?
Fucking.
Oh, okay, I got it that time.
Yeah,
ish. But yeah, that's what Jay said. He's like, do you feel like they have a certain number of fucks they have to hit in a season to be a little bit more edgy? But season 3 is really good. I think it's better than the first two. The new episode was by far the most comic book episode of a show based on a comic book because of the way they even handle death like a comic book would.
Ooh, I do like that. I do like the way you're describing that. I love it when shows aren't afraid to get super comic booky.
Yes. So it's I'm sure talking to Kyle over in MCM, that Hawk gets blown up by Red Hood.
Did I know that?
And no, see, I'm ruining it for you.
No, you're fine.
I don't want to ruin it for Jay, who's watching through it, man.
Wait,
you see how tight Jay's bandana is around his head? He's his blood flow is constricted. He's not gonna remember any of this podcast.
The same Jason Todd that's with him right now.
Yeah. Yep.
He turns bad all of a sudden and
he becomes Red Hood.
You are spoiling for him.
Yeah, I'm spoiling for him. I don't want to spoil for
that's
Jay.
Weird.
I don't want to spoil for Jay, but everyone, if people saw the new episode, even just the way they handle death in this series is very comic booky. Death is not permanent, and that's kind of the way they handle this too. Even death on this show is just like in comics, death isn't permanent. But Jason becomes Red Hood the same way he does in the comics. He beats to death by the Joker and he becomes Red Hood. Ish says Travis gets every show and movie spoiled for him, even on these shows. He doesn't need to watch any of it. That's right. That's pretty much true.
I do like how you said they're not afraid to kill people off in comic book ways, and they come back. This kind of like this podcast. Remember when we tried to kill you off a couple episodes ago?
Yeah, I came back. Yeah,
and you came back. It was this big giant plan to have a comic book revival of Matt.
Yeah, but I mean, I won't. I'll put it this way. So you have a group of 3 characters that have been killed. And they start off on a train. 2 of them start off on a train. And the conductor's like, you're going to get off at your stop. You're going to get off at your stop. Well, they end up getting off the train. And then another character shows up. And they basically end up road tripping through the afterlife. And their whole goal is to get to a bridge that bridges the afterlife to the physical realm that allows them to come back to life. So I'm not going to tell you who it is or that comes back or who's on that voyage. But it's and it's all done in black and white and
very Dragon Ball Z.
Whatever you want to imagine, whatever you can imagine becomes at your disposal and things like that. So it's the most comic booky afterlife and way of coming back that they could do it.
Wow.
And I was just man, this is probably the best episode of this show yet because of the way they handle everything.
George Burns is there smoking a big cigar. Well, yep. Robin, looks like you're dead.
George Jefferson.
That was a joke for you, Jay. That was a joke for you, Jay.
Oh God, you know. I'm right there, man.
Unlimited pizza bagels. There you go. But if you're not watching Titans, season 3 has been fantastic. Like I said, like Jay's like, I'm on season 2 and talking about it a little bit, and I don't want to spoil it because season 3 gets really good and it goes into a different direction than the first 2 seasons kind of did. And
cool, man. I'm looking forward to that.
If you're watching Titans, you know what I'm talking about. If not, check it out. They're airing the first season of Titans on TNT, I think on Thursday nights too. So if you
really?
don't have, if you have cable but not HBO Max, you can catch it there.
Well, in case anybody cares, they're offering the premium HBO Max right now at half price for 6 months. It's like $7.
And if you have a VPN, I think they used to play. I remember I was in Japan. Japanese Netflix had Titans on it. I think it was on Netflix. I want to say. I feel like I watched Titans on Netflix. So I don't know if it's still on there, but if you hit your VPN and move it around a little bit, then maybe you could find it on a different streaming app.
There you go. Japanese Netflix. Look at this guy. Let's talk about so with this whole little thing called pandemic we have is coming full circle. Is like we started this adventure with Tiger King, and now it looks like we're gonna end this venture.
I hope we end this adventure.
As Tiger King season 2 has been announced by Netflix.
Electric Tiger Lou.
And will be coming by the end of the year. So if you haven't gotten your fill of Joe Exotic and the crew at his animal sanctuary and that fucking bitch Carol Baskin, there's more to come about Joe's story. Like this was such a phenomenon that's like swept like
it's
podcast.
Weird, dude.
Well, I had a flashback because I feel like that's when I was doing a lot of podcasts with Absolute Geek, and I feel like I've heard you say the word Carol Baskin in that manner so many times. I had like PTSD from when you just said it right there.
And the weird part is that like I'm not even like I like weird obscure shit like this, and I find like weird obscure shit like this. But the funny part to me is that the most straight-laced dude is the one who turned me on to this in Sam. He's the one that told me like you got to watch Tiger King. Tiger King is crazy, and was talking about it. And I was like, one night I was just laying there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start it. And I watched it start to finish. Like it is like a car crash. You can't look away. Like it's incest. It's just
an underrated aspect of this is the setting, Florida. Like in the Florida like Everglades swamp zoo. Like it's such a great setting for a story. This tiny kind of boondock zoo in the middle of nowhere. It makes for these great shots where they'll be talking about like a cock ring in the middle of like an Everglade.
Yep.
The
perfect show. It's garbage, but good garbage. Exactly. Like you've got hillbillies, you've got, dudes chicks getting arms ripped off by tigers. You got, a dude trying to sell his soul to become famous, and tigers and a murder for hire plot. And that it's so good. It is
trash
fun. TV at its finest.
It is fun, but it's like, I watched it and then like everybody started talking about it. It was just huge. And I'm like, is this the same one I watched? I'm like, people can't be that into it. I couldn't believe like how I caught on so much. I was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. Leftover thinking like I can notice I'm dancing around. He's like, say it, dudes doing dudes. Exactly. Mm-hmm. But like even like dudes doing dudes, but then becoming straight afterwards. It's just there's just so much to this show that it's on another level, and it's like the trash TV in all its glory. Like,
well, yeah, I guess so.
I'm definitely
I'm bored. I'll watch it.
Tiger King.
I'm more intrigued by the fact that Jay, I saw you've dropped the bandana.
Yeah, it was getting really warm. And I'm like, why is it so warm in here? I'm like, oh, because I've got a stupid bandana on my freaking fat head.
It's supposed to wick the sweat. It's supposed to absorb the sweat, Jay.
Yes. No, it can be like
yep.
It can be really hot.
Drama, backstabbing, arms getting cut off. Exactly. The perfect explanation of Tiger King. Moving on, we got the announcement of a Super Mario movie with the voice cast being announced with Chris Pratt voicing Mario, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Jack Black as Bowser, Anna Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. Charlie Day as Luigi. Fred Armisen is Toad. And it goes on and on and on. It has caused an uproar online and someone in our podcast community because they feel that it is wrong.
For Chris Pratt to play an Italian American
Superman, exactly, playing an Italian plumber.
What?
When he's not Italian?
Well, was Bob Hoskins?
Was Bob Hoskins Italian?
Hoskins. I don't believe.
Doesn't sound Italian.
But I know. So it started an uproar with Pepperoni because he's messaging me and Max about this, right? And he's like going on and on and on about how he should be Italian and that like
why
going on Twitter that he's Italian and how like Apu, the guy who voiced Apu in The Simpsons, left, and how Kristen Bell left the role because she was playing an ethnicity and he was like it should be Italians. And I'm like, the guy who voices Mario in the games isn't Italian.
It's called acting.
Yes,
these people act.
And Lance goes, he's a French dude from where was it? I can't remember. Barcelona. He's like, he's a French dude from Barcelona. And I was like, no, he's not. He's an American. And Pepperoni started going off on me about, no, he's of French descent. Okay, but he's not from Barcelona. He's from America. And he pulls up his Wikipedia and he's like, see?
Of course.
I go, dude, it says right here, he's American. His family moved to Paris and then Barcelona, but he was born in America, so he's American. American's not a race. American's not a race. No, it's not. It's a nationality.
It's interesting that this is controversy with Chris Pratt because he was in those Jurassic Park movies, and the T-Rex voice in that T-Rex was actually a Canadian T-Rex playing a Brazilian T-Rex in that movie.
I knew it.
Yeah. So when you hear that roar, that's Canadian T-Rex roaring like a Brazilian T-Rex, and I won't stand for it.
But the internet, being the internet, is an uproar about it, and they're all like, Danny DeVito should voice Mario.
What?
Okay, and then here comes Pepperoni with, I think Joe Pesci should voice Mario. And I was like, no. It should be John Leguizamo.
He's Latin.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it started this whole uproar between, like, me and him got in this whole long conversation about how, like, the original voice actor is from America, and he's like, no, he's of French descent. And I said,
I guess he should be Japanese, right? Shouldn't he be Japanese technically? In fact, we're looking at the birth of the character.
And then I said, I brought up the point. Well, like, it's an animated movie, and just like Jay said, it's called acting. It's an animated movie-ish. It's a American produced animated movie. And it's
if you go into just a small amount of the history of film and you look at actors playing the different ethnic roles, you're gonna be very disappointed.
Well, and like, I understand live action. Like, if you got a live action role where the character should be Asian, get an Asian actor. If they should be Indian, get an Indian actor. I 100% agree with that sentiment. But if it's an animated movie and you're doing voice acting, like, no, you don't, like, people get
there is no offended. Italy. Is there an Italy in the Mario world?
No, he's an Italian plumber from the Toad Kingdom. Like,
I don't know the backstory behind Mario. Was Mario sucked into this fictional world, or is he just okay? All right, so he is Italian and was sucked into. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. All right,
he's an Italian plumber, but like,
do you think Chris Pratt's going to do an Italian accent, and does that make it worse or better?
I think he's going to try it. That's what a lot of people are getting an uproar about, is that he's going to imitate an Italian American plumber, and it's going to cause a bunch of issues.
Remember the animated Mario Brothers show from the early 90s?
Yeah.
With the Mario Brothers and plumbers, our game bound to hit a warp whistle, working on the drain. We eat Koopa, a Trooper, the princess, and the others, hanging with their brothers who be hooked on the brothers of the bread. I don't think that guy was Italian.
No, just like my whole point to him was like, look, if you ever watch the Boondocks, Charlie Murphy voices a white dude in the Boondocks cartoon. and so does Samuel L. Jackson, I believe. So like, if you look at anime, these characters are Asian, but when it comes over here and they dub it, it's a white actor dubbing it most of the time. You know,
it would help if for your graphic you didn't have the 3 whitest guys pictures up here. Maybe put Keegan Michael Keel in there in that spread.
Hey, that I just took it the way it was presented, man. Like,
and also, why does it look like these 3 white actors? It's their mugshots. Like they've done something wrong already. It's like this: Seth Rogen was arrested for playing Donkey Kong, and everyone knows Donkey Kong is from Hong Kong. And
yeah, like they were arrested on an armored car heist or something.
But yeah, like this whole thing started this massive debate about race, ethnicity, and nationalism between me and Pepperoni over the casting of a fucking Mario animated movie. And
I don't know, man. I mean, you know, when Marlon Brando was playing a Mexican in Viva Zapata, I don't care.
I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did. He damn well
Tropic
did.
Thunder, where Robert Downey Jr. is playing he's playing a dude as a dude playing another dude, you know, and he plays an actor who gets a pigment transplant to become black, and he's a white Australian actor playing a black guy. Like, it's just because he was comparing it to people getting mad about Scarlett Johansson playing an Asian character in Ghost in the Shell. It's totally different if you're trying to take a white American character and make them look Asian versus just casting an Asian actress versus a voice actor.
The bottom line is these people want to make money off their movies. So like they attach big names to it.
Right.
If there was someone who was in that age demographic with that voice, who was Italian, was famous as Chris Pratt, they would go for that person. But they got Chris Pratt. It's just like we want someone attached to the movie that they're going to go out for. And we're still kind of coming out of the old Hollywood system, and it is an American Hollywood system where a lot of the top billed actors are still white males or white women. And so when you want a name to promote the movie, that's their first choices. Is it the right choice? I don't know, but they're trying to protect their investment. And now they're going to have to figure out a way to spin this or change the acting choice, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, because this is still early in production, right? So they could still change their casting choices.
Yeah.
Or maybe Chris Pratt's like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this. I mean, the guy's taking enough heat for a lot of stuff already, you know, for his religious beliefs and his political beliefs. So he might be like, you know what? I don't need my Italian beliefs in this mix too. I'm out. I don't need the trifecta.
I just can't wait to see Donkey Kong throwing a barrel and going, doing the Seth Rogen.
I think that'd be great. I think that's the best casting. Oh, Bowser's pretty good as Jack Black.
Yeah.
Charlie Day is Luigi, and I think Fred Armisen as Toad is pretty funny too.
That is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'll see this movie for sure.
I'm okay with it. I'm interested and intrigued by it, but we'll see what comes of it.
Remember when animated films were voiced by like voiceover actors that no one knew their gender or race or age, and no one looked them up, and it was just like, oh, when I hear that, I'm not hearing Jack Black. I'm hearing someone who has decided this is the appropriate voice for this character. I am inhabiting that character. I am a professional. Right. The problem is, let's stop giving voiceover acting jobs to mainstream celebrities and let people perfect the art of voice acting, and then trust roles to the professionals.
Trust the process. Exactly. That was well said, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Another big thing in comics right now that's kind of interesting is the estate of Steve Ditko is suing to have the copyrights and trademarks of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange removed and returned back to them, removed from Marvel and returned back to them. Now, other estates have followed suit to include Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. This is a huge deal because it's bringing about the conflict in the comic world as at what point is it these are freelance workers creating a product for Marvel Comics versus they are the sole creators of this product?
Yeah. That's a tough one, man. That's very tough. I mean, I know Steve Ditko is, he's 100% responsible for like their designs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could go either way with, I don't want to see that happen, but I would like to see the creators maybe rewarded more monetarily would be nice. Would they be suing if they got their just rewards, for this? I don't know.
I think that's what's going to happen is Disney has since filed lawsuits back against these estates saying that these artists were hired workers and that they created these characters for the company, as hired workers. This is not like their own individual properties that they brought in.
Well, that is true. They were,
Yeah, and it's
I don't know.
It could be a money grab from the family too. Like they're hard up, and I know a lot of these early creators like Bill Finger and Schuster, they all died poor, and some of them have gotten their royalties since then. And it could be just I think honestly, what's going to happen is Disney's going to pay them millions of dollars in royalties, and they're going to keep the trademark, and it's going to be, or the copyright, and it's going to be a done deal.
Yeah, I stepped out for so you might have said this, but I think that's what we got to do here at this point is just like an obscene amount of money, throw it at them, and
which they have,
and give them the like, all right, here's the money. Here are the credits that we're going to give you, and lawyers can negotiate. This credit works. We want a credit on this, and they can figure that out, and then be done with it. Yeah. Be like, this is it, and then we're not like in that contract. We had Sam here; he's a lawyer. Can we put like this is no double jeopardy? You can't sue us for anything related to rights or money again. Obscene amount of money. Have someone go through all the character rights, decide what we can say is theirs and what's not theirs, and then be done with it. Give them the money that Steve Ditko was denied for so many years, and then be done with it. And then let history decide, and the fans decide, and historians decide, repetitive, who created these characters based on the lore, the facts, and the art itself,
Yeah, dude, Ditko, Len Wein, all those guys, man. They it's like, yeah, they were employed there under contract creating for that, but dude, come on, they've made millions upon millions off these designs. Throw them a friggin' bone that I know Disney's got plenty of.
I also want to apply this to teaching. If I teach a student English and that student goes on to be, I don't know, best-selling author Stephen King, I want part of that money too.
Screw you.
I'm like, hey, listen, I want a piece of it. I want a one-time fee. I want a credit on a couple of things like story by Stephen King, taught by Travis Ratz, in the bylines, and I want a one-time fee. It's going to set me up for life. I can get my own private beach where I don't have to watch people make out every time, and then we'll be good with that.
Trip on holes.
Let's just carry this. Anything that you do early in your career, whatever happens to that, whatever that evolves to, you get to suckle at the teat of success.
Well, and it's like
that was sarcastic, and in a way, I almost feel like I feel like I fucked Steve Ditko over with that sarcasm.
Well, that's one of the things I find so fascinating about the comic book industry is like people look at it as like it's stupid pictures on pages. It's not real stuff, but like there's so much like underhanded, seedy backhandedness to the history of this industry that makes it fascinating. Because like if you look into it, like look at Batman. Bob Kane got all the shine for that, and got money and royalties and all that. And Bill Finger, who helped create Batman, died broke alone on somebody else's couch. And it wasn't until Batman Superman that he got his name on there as one of the co-creators of Batman. He got his recognition as being one of the co-creators of Batman.
Well, it kind of ties back to what you were talking about with Todd Snyder, and it bolsters your argument with Snyder on the fact that, hey, no, like if you're working and something's not right and you feel like you're contributing more, it's not paying off, or in this way, make noise about it now, not 40 years from now.
Right.
But just keep in mind that making noise could lose you the job. It did lose Ditko jobs. It did lose a lot of these old guys' jobs. I mean, they create some great stuff, but they also have been fired and rehired by these companies numerous times. So it's I don't know. These are legends to us. So we want them to be paid. We want their families to be paid for generations and generations. But we also have to look at the reality of the situation. And if we put it in modern terms, would we all be expected to be paid off the future success of our current work today? Is that a realistic way to think about careers and professions?
No, because like they never would have guessed that these characters would have been turned into box office, destroyers and making billions of dollar properties and be on t-shirts everywhere and every piece of clothing and just everywhere in society at the forefront of it. And like the forefront of pop culture. They would have never been able to guess that. And like Leftover Ziggy saying Stan Lee was the only one who brought this to the front. The families want the money, not the creators. He's like, I decided Stan Lee gave the shine to the Marvel Universe. The others were scared. Kirby, etc. Yes, they were great. Got through cheese, but all of a sudden now they want more. Fudge the old school. I don't want them paid after $1 million. They good. I pay them what they're due. That's fine. Like he helped. There's no doubt that Ditko helped create Spider-Man. Stan Lee gave him shine in an interview saying that Ditko brought Doctor Strange to life. He created Doctor Strange. So, I mean, filing trademarks, all they're really doing is saying we want a bigger slice of this pie, right, than what we're getting.
Well, let me give you an analogy here. It'd be like, I don't think we need an analogy, but it's a good one because I thought it up. Your parents buy a armoire in the 1950s, and they take it with them through all of those years. Someone built that armoire. They paid for it at their local general store for a reasonable amount of price. It was a cheap armoire. 2021 hits. All of a sudden, 1950 armoires are the rage, and they are selling for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You sell it for that. You kept it that long. You upheld it. You upheld the craftsmanship of it. You took care of it. Do you owe the original creator of that armoire any money?
No. It's just like anything today, like having somebody make you an intro or anything like that. Once you pay that set price that person asks for it, it becomes your property. Once money exchanges hands, it's your property.
Like the Joe Rogan podcast intro. Like how iconic is that for so many people? And somebody said, it's heard all the time. And they're like, well, you got I think it was GarageBand loops. So I think it's common source. But
to use your furniture, your armoire analogy.
Against me? You're armoring against me?
But if I held on to that and I made $50 million off of that armoire, and the family said, hey, we sold you that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Here's $500,000. Right.
Goodwill.
Right. If you made that much, sure, which they are, this corporation.
And they reached out. Like you didn't have to reach out to them. Like, hey, I made this much. Do you want some of it? It's like, hey, we would really love a lot of that. But then what Matt's saying is like, when you look over, like, you want some of my armoire money? Like you guys are millionaires. You don't need my armoire money.
Yeah.
Well, but
go ahead, Jay.
Oh, they're not? I didn't know.
I just mean like Ditko's family.
Oh.
It says a guy who works in the comic book industry. Travis makes all the good points. Also, Ditko never invested in the company to make it operate. he was hired with an agreed upon compensation at the time.
Yeah.
If you sell the eggs, do the chickens get a cut? No.
Also, yeah, and also you got to think about like shares in it. Like you have an opportunity to invest in the company that had. All right, I can't get more out of my product than the pay that I'm making for it, but I can put my money into the company that's selling my product and make money back that way, like buying shares in Marvel or things like that. That's a different subject, but I don't know. I feel it sucks because I'm saying these things and it sounds like I'm against the people that, you know, set up the spectrum of my storytelling ideology and things like that, and who give me these great stories. I don't mean to shame them or say they're less. It's just, I feel like we hear these stories all the time. This person's suing this person.
Yeah.
And then you also hear the stories of comic book creators who were just workmen on a few books. And now they're dying in nursing homes that they can't afford. And that's why they have those nonprofit organizations to help take care of those guys. So I don't want to be as cold-blooded to think that this analogy or this idea applies across the board to all comic creators. But in the case of like the ones we keep seeing, Ditko, Finger, Simon, I feel like those have been litigated. Those have been paid. It's time to move on.
Well,
maybe.
You're right. And we live in a different time now where as soon as a comic book launches, that property is bought up. Like you hear every day, it sounds like you hear about a new comic book property being optioned and all being turned into a movie. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these creators leave Marvel and DC and going to Substack and making their own own properties because they retain 100% of the rights to that material, which I'm fine with. Like you negotiate to get yours. Like that's,
but you lose the machine of publication that DC and Marvel provide. So it is a risk. And if you have a name established like Snyder, it's a negligible risk. But if you're starting out, and you have this great idea and Marvel wants to buy it, or you could put it on Substack and see who gets it. That's a very tough decision and one you'll have to make. And there are benefits to that and there are downsides to that. Marvel's going to own that character unless you negotiate in your contract. If you go to, but they will promote it. There's a better chance it's seen. If you go to Substack, you own all your, like probably most of your profits, not all your profits, but there's no giant machine putting it in the hands of kids or readers. What do you want to do? I mean, it's an individual decision you have to make. Unfortunately, some people have to make it at a very young age where they're not aware of all the repercussions of stuff. But that's why you have friends and family and lawyers.
And like I said, and back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, I don't think they ever predicted comic books to become the mega machine that it is now. The profit generator is now. So they got what they, theirs at the time. They agreed to a contract and now they should adhere to it. I think Travis's analogy is perfect. You don't get to build a piece of furniture and then in 100 years when that piece of furniture becomes worth billions of dollars, come back and say, okay, I want mine. You got yours.
And
you
then
got yours at the beginning.
In 50 years from now, when no one wants to buy Spider-Man, no one wants to buy your armoire because it's not hot anymore, do you owe money back?
Yes. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I'm just saying there's a lot to go around. There's so much to go around.
That's the problem. It's the decadence of it all,
But I mean, ultimately, we probably won't ever hear about this again. It'll probably go to arbitration, and they'll be like, "All right, well, we're going to give you X amount."
Oh yeah, they'll settle out of court,
and you never hear about it again because honestly, there's no beating the Disney machine, and they're not going to do it. So,
but to a more like holistic view of it, and then we can move on and stuff like that. But I will say, as someone who dabbles in storytelling and writing, it's the creation process is such a struggle, and creating it, that's the joy of it. Now, I would love to not have to work and just get paid on stuff that I create and write. That's a very long shot. If I ever got to that point, the fact that you can live off your creations almost seems like reward enough, and everything else is icing on the cake. It's so hard to make just a living off your creativity that I think a lot of creators, if you said, hey, listen, you're never going to get rich, but you can support yourself off your creativity and do what you love and create stories, would you take that life? Or would you only go into creating and only sell your stories and try to make a living off your stories if you knew you could be wealthy, not just getting by? And I think if you're a true creator, I think that you would take that devil's gambit anytime. You would say, listen, I don't need to be rich. I love doing this. Give me enough to get by, to support my family, and that is enough. I don't need to be the wealthiest stiff in the graveyard. I don't need, to pay for my 3 generations down the road. I just want to make a living doing what I love. And I think that if you ask most young artists and young writers and young storytellers, they would take that any day of the week.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I think it's funny that the 3 most recognizable heroes or symbols in comic books is Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. And they're all marred in this same controversy of someone ripping someone else off, someone not getting the credit they're owed, and someone getting a better deal than someone else. And like Ish just said, Spider-Man was ranked the #1 most popular fictional character of all time. Owning that copyright is a huge deal. Yeah, so there's no way Marvel's gonna let that copyright go.
You think it's more to go back to our Lost Boys? Do you think it's I guess it's common property now, but so it's not owned. So Dracula, but since are we talking about like property owned characters? I guess Spider-Man ranks #1, not like Robin Hood or
things like that. Mean, the #1 most popular fictional character of all time.
Popular or profitable?
Popular.
Oh, popular. But more than interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, moving on here. We'll go ahead and I thought that was a perfect transition to my top 5 comics of the week for this week. There's some interesting ones on here. Number 5 was a new book that came out this week by the artist of Something's Killing the Children, called He Who Fights with Monsters. I found it interesting because it's a World War II. It's set in World War II, and the struggles between good and evil are in full force. In Prague, the great Bohemian city is being oppressed by Nazi occupants, and the population lives in terror, while the residents forces try to organize themselves in the shadows. It is almost an impossible task, with the ruthless SS tightening their grip on every street and neighborhood with overwhelming might. Only one hope feeds the struggle, a crazy hope which rests on the frail foundation of an ancient monstrous legend. Super good book, super interesting read. I'm interested in issue 2. I just picked it up on a whim and was rather surprised by it.
Did Boom put this out?
A Blaze.
Oh,
so not by Boom.
Huh.
So it was definitely worth checking out. I like the whole World War II setting aspect of it. It's pretty interesting. Number 4, The Death of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Death comes for the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Stephen Strange, and the world's greatest neurosurgeon.
Scientologist Supreme?
Yes, Scientologist. Sorry, Travis. The greatest neurosurgeon and Scientologist, Earth Sorcerer Supreme. He defends our planet from supernatural and interdimensional threats no other hero is equipped to handle. But what would happen if if he unexpectedly died? Who would protect Earth and keep the mystical evils at bay? And most importantly, who killed Stephen Strange? The final chapter in the life of Doctor Strange starts here because he's going to Scientology. He's switching to Scientology. That's the whole thing.
Number Strange, 3. When you're a Scientologist, faces look ugly out in the rain.
Number 3, Vinyl. If you liked Plastics, the book Plastics, you didn't like the Doctor Strange-ish. He said it was kind of crappy. I didn't mind. I thought it was all right. That's why it was number 4, though, because it wasn't like my favorite read of the week. But
you don't have to justify yourself, Matt. Keep going. Keep trudging on, brother.
Vinyl. If you like the Plastics, and since you guys so eloquently put out at the beginning of the show that we're heading to October, to Halloween, Murder and Mayhem, Vinyl is a good book for you. Walter can't remember who he is, and without him, the serial killer rescue mission is doomed. And other Sunflower Death Cult news, the Beast and Mother are loose. Guy and Vic brawl against the frenzy of Sunflower Girls, and Rennie has a runoff to make clothing from human flesh. So this book is pretty brutal and pretty violent. If you're looking for a good horror book for October, definitely check out Vinyl. Only 4 issues, and I think you can pretty much pick all 4 issues up.
If you like vinyl too, you should check out the Pop Bonsai podcast, episode 2, called Vinyl, which Jay and I go over Ghost World, Tom Waits' Nighthawks at the Diner, and a third thing I can't remember right now. Continue.
You guys should check this out because it has to do with like
I'm intrigued. I never heard about this. Yeah.
Being a serial killer and all that, so it could go play right into.
I feel like people who listen to vinyl are a very slippery slope to being serial killers in general. Sometimes when I put on a record, like I'm tiptoeing through the tulips, and I feel a little aggressive.
Vinyl just sounds better.
Tiny Timming.
Number 2, Mullet Cop. Did I pick this book up off the cover alone? I just checked it out because it looks very almost to the
Tiger
art style
King.
of like. Almost to the art style of like Ice Cream Man, but also very Adult Swim. If you watch some stuff on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. But after a near-death experience, a mall cop goes undercover as a manager at an all-you-can-eat buffet with the help of his co-workers and a supercomputer microwave called MIT, Mall Industries 2000. He takes on crime bosses, robo-grannies, and her gang of thugs. And basically, he's a mall cop. He gets shot in the face. He's the only one that survives this attack. Gets shot in the face. So his like senior officer has them change his looks and give him a mullet so he can't be recognized by the group of cyborg grandmothers and cyborg thugs that shot him. And he goes undercover as a manager at an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's all the craziness of Adult Swim that you could want. It was just like the weirdest book, and I picked it up just because it solely looked weird. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun story. Paul Blart Mall Cop times 10.
Hey, yeah. Jay, who is it? It's Shaky something. Remember it? Is it Shaky Edwards, the British comic book artist? Shaky something. But his art style reminds me very much of this, and he writes about like mulleted characters and in weird situations. I don't know. I'll look that up. Shaky.
Ish is asking where he can find Pop Bonsai.
Hello, your major podcast. Okay, hit it, Jay. Hit it, Jay. I'm
every
searching.
Fucking where. Yeah, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify.
There you go.
Yeah.
And my number 1 book this week was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, number 4. It is the penultimate issue. There's 1 issue left. Good God, it feels like this story has been coming out for years because they keep delaying every issue. But with a few key allies, the Ronin takes on the greatest risk yet to infiltrate Baxter Stockman's Tech Island and what happens many years ago to set Ronin on his quest for vengeance. You find out in this issue, like every issue is dealt with the death of a different turtle. So like issue 2 dealt with the death of Raphael. Issue 3 dealt with the death of Leonardo and Casey Jones. And this one deals with the death of Splinter and Donatello.
That sounds depressing as hell.
But it's good because it's Michelangelo on a revenge mission to take out the grandson of the Shredder, and for betraying a pact and killing his brothers and father. And it's actually a really, really good story.
I read the first issue when Michelangelo was breaking into that building. But I don't think I even knew it was Michelangelo at that point. That's kind of a.
You find out like the very last page.
Oh,
Michelangelo.
Okay.
You have to finish reading it, Travis.
Yeah,
but
I was like, huh.
You know what, Jay?
You might be actually correct.
I'm surprised you haven't kept up with it because it feels like this would be something that would be like right up your alley with the whole Ronin aspect of it.
I remember when it came out and I was really excited about it. I was talking about with my podcast partner on Comic Exposure. I was like, we should do this. We haven't done a Turtles book. Let's do a Turtles book. Come on. Like I really Woody Allen. I'm like, come on, let's do a Turtles book, please. Sorry.
Speaking, what's your favorite? That's a good thing. What's your favorite Woody Allen movie?
I like Annie Hall is solid, but I will say Scoop is a good modern one with your Scarlett Johansson. Sex and Misdemeanors. I'm gonna go with Annie Hall just right now. Classic, simple.
Yeah.
It's what I got started on, and it works in there.
What about you, Jay?
So, controversial. Annie Hall.
No. This is a great question. I can't believe you asked this, man.
Yeah.
I want to know what yours
I know.
is too. Yeah.
And probably like modern. For some weird reason, I like Midnight in Paris.
That's mine. I love Midnight in Paris.
A lot of people don't like it, dude. I get a lot of crap.
That's actually one of my favorite movies because
really,
I'm so interested in that time, like just with the whole aspect of him going back in time, and you're seeing like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald and
Hemingway. Whoever plays Hemingway, who is
Mm-hmm.
has been some other stuff, and of course Loki plays F. Scott Fitzgerald. Does
Yep.
a fantastic job at that.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hiddleston. But yeah, great. That's probably the best modern Woody.
I could watch that movie
Blue Jasmine's not bad
over
too.
and over again. I love Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, I get crapped on. You're the first person that's actually agreed with me.
No, dude, it's such a good movie, man.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a good movie. I'm glad you guys like it, and it's great. I mean, I'm sorry they do.
Ish says Sweet and Low Down. It was great.
Sweet and Low Down. Yes. Oh yeah, a very underrated one too.
Mm-hmm.
It's his. He's got good taste in music. He's like a violin cello player kind of guy, but he's got some good. He always brings in, even in Midnight in Paris, he brings in some good like 1930s speakeasy stuff. It's really great.
But like I love the Picasso stuff in it, and just like that
Dali.
whole, like Dali, that whole time frame, man. I just think at Midnight. Ish says I think Midnight in Paris is his biggest hit.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
No,
man.
not bigger than Annie Hall or what? Not
Oh no,
New
like
York,
modern wise.
Oh
like,
yeah.
But I just want to throw one more thing, and you're talking about like a good Halloween book. One of the books that I thought was really cool. That's I think it's only on the second issue right now. It's called Lucky Devil.
Oh, dude, Lucky Devil is so good.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I think I picked this up on a whim too, and I really enjoyed it. It was really horrible, but it was like really lighthearted. Like it's about a guy that gets possessed, and so correct me if I miss something, Matt. So a guy gets possessed by a demon, and he goes to an exorcist, but it's a real shitty exorcist, and he does a really crappy job. And he takes the demon out, but he leaves the dude with all the demon's powers.
Yep.
And so I just got issue 2, but at the end of the first issue, which I haven't read, the end of the first issue, the demon's sitting there going, so we need to talk about this because I got kind of screwed out of this. And the demon's like sitting there talking to him at the back alley, and he's all like kind of screwed up and traumatized about the whole thing. So yeah, it's pretty fun. And who is it? Is it Cullen Bunn that does it?
I can't remember.
I think it is.
But like the dude's like a pushover, and he's getting just like picked
Yeah,
on and
cucked.
pushed over, and he gets cucked, and like his life is just shitty. And then once he realizes he retained the demon's powers, he just started fucking everybody.
Did he walk in on his wife and he thought that she was with a vibrator? And that, are you serious?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
really?
No, he didn't think she was on a vibrator. But
No.
He walked in with his wife cheating on him, and like there's one point where like he's hiding in the other room while his wife is getting banged out. Like he is by every definition a cuck.
Yeah.
So, but back to Last Ronin here. I would definitely say do it. I'd totally come on if you guys did this again, if you'd have me, but like wait for the final issue. But Last Ronin, I think has been so good because
what is this issue? What's the issue number on this? How long is it?
It's 5 issues. So the last one,
it has been delayed like a mother then.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
But I love the everyone thought it was going to be Raphael was the last Ronin. I love that it's Michelangelo. I love that they forced Michelangelo to grow up and just kind of the changes that he's got to go through. And you kind of like see in this that his mutation has made him bigger and stronger. But it's also affected April and the other supporting casts that have been around the Turtles for many years. So you kind of see how their mutations has affected them to the point where April has a daughter named Casey that she has with Casey Jones. But the fact that the Turtles' mutations rubbed off on April, it gave her daughters like a healing factor and strength. And so just like their mutations are affecting other people, not just them. So it's really interesting the way they're taking it. But I'm super stoked to see how I
want to read it all. And this is, I think, this is a perfect for a trade thing, especially with, it sounds like with the weights between it. So if you haven't read this, then it sounds like a trade will be coming out soon. Yeah,
dude, you sold me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a, if you're a fan of like the original Eastman Laird Turtles and the way that it was more kind of like violent, it's definitely fits in with that.
Maybe Jay, maybe we could do a turtle set on Pop Bonsai.
Dude, I'd be down with that.
Yeah, it's just right though. The only drawback with Last Ronin is the shape of the book. There's no proper corresponding bag and board set up for the storage. That is
true. Are they oversized or something?
They're like
French style?
No, it's like an oversized, almost like it's not magazine, but it's like I've got like Gotta Tremors here. It's kind of like an oversized book. It's not quite magazine, but it's also not normal comic size. So they don't make a bag and board size for it. So
man, which gotta do Ziploc bag.
Yeah. But it's it's an oversized square bound book, but good stuff. Good read. And I was going to finish with, as always, those are my top favorite books of the week. If you have different ones, let me know what you're reading. And if you have suggestions or what to check out, let me know. And I will definitely do that. And as always, support your local comic shops because it goes a long way in saying, have either of you started watching the new season of Doom Patrol?
I just saw the Doom Patrol episode on Titans.
Travis, you haven't started watching it yet?
No, I haven't watched an episode. I saw this on your list of things, and I was like, "Oh, I can't talk about Titans and Doom Patrol. The rest, I'm good."
We'll save Doom Patrol for next week when Max.
You can talk about it. Oh, but yeah, maybe
when Max and
Pepperoni will have a whole
Pepperoni are back on it. Yeah, because it's a lot to dive into because you get the first 3 episodes, and it's still the old crazy fun that Doom Patrol brings.
Cool. It sounds like a series that people have opinions on. So
you
probably want to have those people on.
We'll save that for when those guys return. But anything else? I know you guys got to get to record and Pop Bonsai. So anything else?
I'm gonna put some coffee on, Jay.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I'm really liking the new X-Men series, the standalone X-Men. I forget who does it, but I think the second issue came out this week, and it's pretty good. It's them back in like Central Park, and they live in like instead of the mansion, they live in like a big tree house, and it's really cool. It's giving me like old school X-Men vibes, but newer, like updated.
The only thing X-Men I'm reading right now is The Death of Magneto.
Oh, the Trial of Magneto?
Trial of Magneto, yes. Thank you.
I have it. I haven't read it yet.
The first 2 issues. I had to bail on all the Hickman stuff because it just got too
weird,
corny. Yeah.
It's weird. Like I'm reading Decorum right now, and it's bizarre. So,
and Ish said X-Men Onslaught also released this week.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Has Onslaught ever come back as a character since that Franklin Richards thing? Has he come back and like now Onslaught is a separate entity, and he comes in every now and then? I don't know.
I feel like he might have a long time. It's been a long time.
Ish says even Hickman is bailing on the Hickman stuff.
Yeah, dude.
And Erin has a pressing question. She wants to know: does anyone ever say or think that Travis looks like Ted Lasso?
Are
either of you watching Ted Lasso?
I love it.
No, I don't watch.
I thought the last episode was where they lose that game and his buddy walks off. And I opened up my app today. I'm like, I'm missing like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to sit down and actually watch those because it felt like it was like 40 minutes. It felt like a season finale way to leave it. And so I just was like, I didn't look up how many episodes there were. I'm like, well, that was okay. Good season. But it raked the, not the Emmys, the Golden, what was the last week? What was it, Golden Globes, Emmys?
Those
Right?
Emmys. Yeah.
And yeah, it took home some good stuff. Good show.
I just got her to start watching it last night. So
oh, she probably loves it then, huh?
She's still, I think she's on like
still early
episode
on,
4 of the season 1, but I love it. I've been watching it. Like I found it on Apple TV, binged the entire first season, and like I can't wait every week. I look forward to every Friday when I can watch a new episode. Like
I don't know Aaron from Adam, but I will say I feel like someone with a pregnancy brain wants to have their kid born into a world of positivity. So I feel like with all the post-apocalyptic stuff going on these days, that Ted Lasso would be it's refreshing for everyone, but especially someone who's going to have a child in this world, another child in this world in a little bit. I feel like that would make it extra exciting to watch. Like, hey, there's good parts to humanity too.
Hey, Ted Lasso is definitely a good palate cleanser. That's 100% accurate.
That's true. A little White Last Man, a little Ted Lasso, mix and match.
A little Titans What If and Doom Patrol mixed in. It's definitely
I'm on a month diet of Stephen King now, and things are looking dark.
Yeah. You need to
she's got a British accent fetish too, so it's right up her alley. But it is a very good show. Oh yes, some Kenny Powers too. Thank you, Ish. Kenny fucking Powers.
Is he coming out with a new series?
No, but dude, Eastbound and Down is always one of those series that deserves a rewatch. It's such a good series.
I liked I liked Vice Principal, and I liked the other one he did with like the religious one too. I forget what that's called.
I could never get into that one.
With the guy from Workaholics, Adam something, Divine. I think he's good. I love what's his name? From Justified and stuff like that. Anyways, sorry,
but good stuff. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for filling in for Tweedledee and Tweedledum this week as they're off on their, hetero honeymoon. I'm just kidding. I appreciate Max and Pepperoni for everything they do here every week. I just had to say Tweedledee and Tweedledum because they literally fucking killed me while I was gone.
Is Pepperoni the code name for Lance? Because you guys have been saying that this whole episode, and I thought it was just like someone in the chat.
The code name for Lance Pepperoni.
Okay.
But
got it.
They literally fucking killed me when I was gone from having surgery, so you got to get back at them some way. But I appreciate those guys for everything they do here. So, but yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and plug Pop Odds? I plug all your stuff. Let everyone know where they can find you. Let everyone know.
Go ahead. So we Jay and I do a podcast together. If there's anything we said tonight that intrigues you, we do our podcast, the two of us, where we talk about we do it in 4 episode arcs where we take a big idea or theme and then we break it down into, we'll read a book that deals heavily with that idea or theme. We'll watch a movie or a documentary. We create a playlist and we talk about the songs and how they link back to that giant theme. We've done themes like beaches and vinyl and video games. And Jay, help me out here.
Novels, poems.
Those are genres. I want themes.
Did we do diners? Beaches?
You're repeating. We did Grease. Yeah. So you get the idea. So now we're doing Stephen King. So if you look us up on Spotify or iTunes or Google Podcasts, I believe all that stuff, Pop Bonsai, BANZAI. You can find us on there.
Yeah.
And then Jake, you have a podcast as well.
And aside from Pop Bonsai, I have a podcast called Born Too Late that I do with my friend Josh Rutledge, who's a highly regarded rock journalist, writer guy. He's been doing it for years, and we just interview people in like underground rock, punk, mod, power pop, whatever, musicians, other writers, bloggers, label owners. We're interviewing this guy. It's a radio DJ. Has had a show called Rock and Roll Manifesto on the East Coast for years. So he's kind of a legend in like underground rock. So that's our next guest. That's our next show. So it's a lot of fun, and we're available anywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Google, Audible, whatever. So
now, Pop Bonsai is not a live show, right? It is a pre-recorded show.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, awesome. Well, guys, thank you for coming and hanging out with me tonight. Definitely make sure you guys go subscribe to Pop Bonsai and any other podcasts. These two dudes, because they're everywhere. You can probably, I'm sure Travis was going to show up on MCM tomorrow night, or
I'm going to show up on your front door. I'm going to teach your kid how to use punctuation, daddy, daycare, daddy, rent-a-dad. You find me at www.rentadad.mustache.com. Yeah.
Telling you, dude, Rent-A-Dad's $1 billion idea.
Rent-A-Dad.
But I want to thank everyone for checking in with us tonight and hanging out in the chat. It's good to see everyone as always. Ish, Aaron, Leftover Zaggy, Stick Boy, everyone for hanging out. We greatly appreciate it. If this is the first time you were finding this podcast on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you had a good time. If you listen to the playback, please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all social media platforms. If you're on Facebook and you want to join the conversation, make sure to hit up the Absolute Geek Podcast Facebook page. If you're on the IG, subscribe or follow us on IG and all the other social platforms. Ish wants to already inquire about Rent-A-Dad as he could use a babysitter. So your business is already kicking off.
Yeah, I don't like the term babysitter. We don't use that term in Rent-A-Dad. We like to term it more like moral instiller. So if you want me to instill my morals on your child, then I can come and do that. It's no problem.
If you're finding this on our downloaded platforms, why not come check us out live every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube, or download us on any of your podcasting platforms. So for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I'm Matt.
I'm Travis.
I'm Jay.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
All you freaks and geeks,
come all you freaks and geeks, let's listen to Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
We'll go ahead and spread our cheeks,
Spread the cheese.
and drink
And
some
we're for
Cosby wine.
we'll
Come
drink
on,
some
you
Cosby wine. It makes me feel real fine. See you next time on the Absolute Geek.